Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 112 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for June 2026. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor here at the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And I do have Tim with me, but he's kind of on remote. So this Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson, how are you doing?
Hey, Jonathan, doing good.
Now, speaking of my producer role here, it looks like I forgot to change out the overlay for this episode. So you guys are going to have to bear with me here for like just a second so I can actually get it right. Hey, that's better. There we go. Much better. Okay, now we're actually on episode 112. So sorry about that. Just a little technical difficulties, but you know how it goes. I'm having to do a couple of little adjustments here. Tim, it's been a while since we've actually done a remote show, right?
A long time.
I can't remember the. So I'd say I was trying to remember the last time. It had to have been around COVID times, right? Yeah.
Yeah, during COVID.
So if you are watching, just please chime in on the live chat right now and let us know if you can hear Tim okay. I'm hoping that you can. But we're so glad that you guys are here with us tonight. We have a full show for you. Lots of, like I said, lots of questions to get answered tonight, Tim. But before we get into that, how's it going, Tim? Where are you? Would probably be a really good start.
I am right now at home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. I am in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
There you go. Okay. So obviously you've got your job stuff out there. And what have you been able to visit any arcades or do anything fun while you've been on your trip?
I haven't had a chance to see any arcades, but I got some good food and saw some pretty countryside. That's about all. It's been pretty action-packed week just for work.
I understand that. Well, I will say that we're glad to have you here, even if it is virtual. And we do want to remind everybody that we do have a live chat. And if you want to leave some comments and questions in there as we go through the show, we would love for you to do that. And Tim, I'm going to go ahead and go over there real quick. It looks like we have a message from Jump in General. He's here. Real Hammer Billy Lee is here. Tim Kremnari is here. We also have Joe Holt here. We have Jolt, and we have Nate Berg. And that's everybody here tonight. So hello to all of y'all. Thanks for joining us this evening. So for this June live show, Tim, it is definitely summertime here.
Yeah, it's definitely here too. It's really humid and hot.
Yeah, so I mean, we're already starting to feel the effects of summer. I'm trying to get my earpiece right, guys. Sorry. We're already feeling a lot of the effects of summer, and it's hot here in Texas, and it sounds like it is in Alabama too. So hopefully it's cooler wherever you are. At least you're in a nice air-conditioned area, wherever that may be. So Tim, but we do have a lot of questions, like I mentioned. Now, before we get to the outline, though, Nate Berg has already chimed in with a question for this episode, Tim. So I'm going to read that real quick. He says he has a Rush to Rock PCB die recently, and he thought it may have been a power supply, so he changed it, and a part on the board caught fire. We found out the board was at fault and not the power supply. Now, Tim, have you ever seen that before? Have you ever seen a game board catch fire?
I've had a few that have smoked, and I've seen some capacitors pop. I guess so. If you name it, we've seen it. I would say that definitely. I don't know if I've ever seen a flame shoot out of one, but I definitely have seen some smoked and some burnt chips and things like that. The scariest one time was a capacitor popping right near my ear, and I couldn't hear for about 3 days out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And we did have a Johnny Nero Action Hero one time that we accidentally hooked a power supply that had the 24-volt line up to. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I do
remember
that.
That popped real quick on a line, unfortunately. So you have to be really careful whenever you're using power supplies that you're using the ones with the right voltage on them, please. So it's definitely something that happens from time to time. Hopefully you can get the board repaired. All you really need to do, though, is just follow the circuit for where that part is that you found that burnt up and see if you can find any other parts along that line that may have caused the issue, maybe gave a little bit too much voltage or whatever. So Nate, good luck with that. Let us know how it goes with your Rush to Rock arcade board. Tim, anything else you want to say, though, before we start moving through outlines and doing all that good stuff?
No, let's go ahead. We'll get into it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, like I said, we have a full list. And Tim, I didn't even put all the questions that we got this month on here because I felt like it was so full. We'll have to save some of those for next month. So thank you guys for sending in your questions. We always say if you want the show to keep going, to send them in. Tim, they heard us, I think. So with all that said, let's go ahead and go to our first question from Brian, Tim. And Brian writes, I have a 1981 Donkey Kong arcade machine I bought it years ago, and it was not working. I thought I could repair it, but it was above my ability. I took the machine apart, and I still have all the original parts. I believe the issue with it was the display, but I'm not sure. It has been sitting in my storage unit, and I'm wanting to do something with it, looking for advice or an idea of the value. Thank you, Brian. So, Tim, I put the pictures on here, which you can see.
Yeah,
You're
I
going to see,
appreciate it.
yeah, I was about to say, you can see the cabinet itself. It looks like he's got the monitor there, but the monitor, it's kind of hard to see in this picture, Tim, does not have a chassis with it.
That's
So,
what I was saying.
yeah, so that's a problem. And we don't have a shot of the game board, which is really disappointing too, because I feel like if the game board was with it, obviously it'd be worth a lot more. But Tim, with the condition and the photos that Brian sent, what do you think this, and he's looking for either advice or value. So let's start with the value proposition first. And obviously, Tim, this is the whole basis for our title tonight, a Donkey Kong with some assembly required. This is what we're talking about here with Brian's question. So with all that in mind, Tim, let's just do value first. So basically a disassembled Donkey Kong cabinet. What are we looking at as far as value is concerned?
Well, if it was complete, that's what the key is. And it's really not complete if the chassis is not in there. I mean, he may not know that. But I mean, if everything else is there, all the wiring, all the boards, all the marquee, the bezel, if that is a complete cabinet just not working, our first instinct would be to make it work and sell it as a working unit. But if he was to sell it as is, I think there would be some people, probably even people in our group, if they live close enough, that would jump all over that. I'm going to say $300 to $400. Just because we don't know anything about it. We don't know if the board works. We don't know if the monitor works. We're basically paying for a cabinet. Now, if he has the chassis, that would help. Maybe it's just not in the picture. You might could add a couple $100 if you got a complete work, a non-working complete game. And if you had a working game board, like he could say, I know the board works, I could hear it play, then you could add another couple $100. But as is, we're going to say it's not working. So, if he could say, well, I know everything, the board works, everything is complete, I have the chassis, there's something wrong with the monitor, but everything else is there. It could be upwards of $800 to $1,000 maybe, because a working one would go for a lot more than that. And we don't really see the sides, so we're always looking at condition and things like that. But that's a really rough estimate. Did he say where he was from, Jonathan?
No, we didn't get a location, unfortunately, so I'm not exactly sure where he's located at. But Brian, if you're listening to this, please get back to us with your location, and we can probably give you a better idea of value. Because obviously, depending on where you're located, Tim, this may be worth more or less, correct?
Right. And, I would think that just a ballpark, $500 is probably reasonable. I know a lot of collectors would throw that much at it if it was complete and be willing to try to repair it. I don't know that you're going to get much more than that, though, unless you can prove the board is working or you have some proof of other things. And that's probably where I would be if I bid on it or wanted to buy one. It would make a lot of difference if he could prove that board was working.
For sure, Tim. Well, with all that said, let's go ahead and look at the outline here, Tim. I think it pretty much sums up what you just said, though. So, of course, the ideal way to handle this cabinet, Tim, like you mentioned, would be just to put it back together, get it working, and restore it. That's what we would probably do, correct?
Yeah.
So we understand that takes time, and you're probably ready to get rid of this thing, and get it out of your storage building. So let's just take an inventory of all the parts that are on it. Like Tim mentioned, the cabinet's probably worth like $300 or $400 if it's in pretty good shape. And if you have the marquee, which we don't see in this photo, but if you have the marquee, then, it probably will help its value quite a bit. And then the monitor looks like it is missing the chassis, like we discussed. If the chassis is included, you might be able to get $200 to $300 for it. But just as a tube, Tim, it's not worth much, correct?
No, it's not worth much at all.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. I mean, basically the monitor's almost useless.
I would say worthless without the chassis.
Yeah, worthless without the chassis is a pretty good way to say it. I mean, somebody may give you $50 for a nice, like, Sanyo 20 Easy 2, but that's probably about all you're going to get. So having that chassis is definitely worth it to get that extra value out of it. So if you have a working game board, you can add probably another $200 to $300 to the price, and probably another $50 to $150 if you have the wiring and other items with it as well, right, Tim?
Yep.
And so that's why Tim was saying around $800 to $1,000. That's if it's like totally complete and we just need to put it together. But with all of everything that you've shown, I'm kind of leaning more towards what Tim said. We're probably looking more towards like a $400 or $500 price, like overall. But if you do have the other parts available, and if it is actually complete, 800 to 1,000 may be a more realistic idea. So, Tim, what anything else we need to say about this? Any other thoughts that you have on Brian's Donkey Kong cabinet here?
Yeah, I think he really needs to post like on our page or one of the major groups because I think you really need a collector to get this. If he just posted in his marketplace, nobody's going to want to pay that for a non-working one. You're not going to sell very good locally for that. So it's going to be probably with a collector or something. So you should really check out. Let us know where he is. We'd be glad to post and see if we got a lot of members all over the world. Somebody in that area would probably be really love, and he may just want to trade for a working game or something. So if he's open to trade, stuff like that, if you're listening, let us know where you're from. I bet we can find you a buyer or at least somebody that would trade, or maybe even somebody that just wants to have a new friend and help you put it together. And then you could both play it.
Absolutely, Tim. Sounds good. I like the idea of a trade for a working game because you may be interested in like a Miss Pac-Man or something. Do a trade up for that. I think a working Miss Pac-Man for a complete Donkey Kong cabinet would probably be worth it. I think in most cases. So,
I think so.
Yeah, for sure. Joe says, I think Tim is definitely spot on for values. By the pick, she needs a lot of love. And I think that is correct. Yeah, I think it's going to need quite a bit. So, but thank you, Joe, for chiming in there. And Tim, I think you're spot on as well. So thank you, Brian, for your question. Hopefully that helps. And if you need a little bit more of an idea of the value, please let us know where you're located. And we'll try to get you hooked up with maybe a buyer who would be interested in purchasing that cabinet.
Yeah, we normally don't talk about values much because you know what it's worth, what somebody's willing to pay.
Absolutely.
But that may be give them a ballpark anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. So, and again, the more parts you have, the better off you're going to be. So, I mean, if you have additional parts that you didn't show us in the pictures, make sure that you include all the parts. And he did mention that it was complete and that he took it apart. So I'm assuming he still has all those. The problem may be finding them all if you took it apart. So sometimes you place things places and you don't always find where they're supposed to go. So,
right.
There we go. So, Brian, hopefully answers your question, and good luck either restoring or selling your Donkey Kong cabinet. Tim, I'm going to go over to the live chat real quick. We had one from Arcade Survival says, I'm on my quad in Deer Creek, and I get a notification for our arcade repair tips. God bless America. There you go, Tim. Sounds good to me. So glad you got that notification. Make sure you turn on your notifications for our channel, and that way you'll get notified whenever there is a live show. We do post that on our social media pages, of course, our Twitter/X feed, and on our Facebook page. So if you're ever wondering when the next live show is, you can look at those. Or, Tim, most of the time it's on the first Thursday night of the month at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. So just depending on where you're located, you can kind of base it on that. We do shift it from time to time. Tim, we even looked at shifting this episode because I knew you were going to be gone, but it sounds like you're going to be gone for a while, right?
Yeah, I got to go home for a few days, and I turn right around and head to Pensacola. So I'll be in Pensacola, Destin, Gulf Shores, working all up and down the coast there, which sounds like a great time to go and vacation and stuff. But I won't be vacationing much. I'll be working a lot.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Tim. Hopefully you'll get a little bit of beach time in there, maybe when you get off or something like that. At least walk the shore, see the ocean. I say the ocean, see the Gulf, I should say. See the Gulf a little bit.
Right.
So there we go. So let's see. Oh, Jumpin' General says, hey, Jonathan, are the games behind you for sale? Absolutely not right now. Maybe at some point, but not right now. There's the same games that are always behind us. We may shift around the live show at some point. I really want to, all of the live show stuff is on my pool table. And at some point I really want to play pool again. So I'm hoping, maybe we can go to like I've seen the rolling cart setup. Maybe something like that instead of having it all just on my table here. We have not gotten to that yet. Maybe sometime in the future, and you'd actually get another view of the game room besides just the 3 or so games that are usually behind us. So, but again, maybe in the future, and probably when Tim would be actually here would be a good time to do that too. So anyway, Tim, let us continue on with our next question. Now, this one was actually sent in from Kremnari, who's actually in the live chat tonight, and he sent us a YouTube link with the video. And he said we could use the video, but I just kind of took a snapshot, and we're going to kind of describe what's happening with his monitor here, because he is having a monitor issue, Tim. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Here is Kremnari's question. He says, I recently got a Lethal Enforcers arcade machine that had a sparking flyback. So I replaced that, recapped it. Upon turning it on, I get this. And Tim, he does have a YouTube link here, which I also link down in the show notes if you guys want to watch it. But this snapshot here on the left, that is what it's doing. Now, something you don't see in the snapshot though, Tim, is we are getting a little bit of pulsing on top of that. So it won't collapse, but it'll kind of shrink down, and then it'll pulse back up. It'll shrink down, pulse back up, kind of thing. And so it's hard to tell that from the actual still image here, but I'm just trying to give you guys that kind of idea. He says, I tried replacing the hot, but I still seem to have the same effect. Can you suggest some troubleshooting steps? Peace in your journeys, Kremnari. So, and like I said, Kremnari is actually here tonight, Tim. So anything that you say to him is very helpful. Now, we should say, Tim, that he did also, in that video, say it was a Hantarex Polo. And so we do know it's a Hantarex Polo monitor chassis that he's got installed in this Lethal Enforcers. And so just keep that in mind as we're doing this troubleshooting. Tim, we're getting pulsing with the screen. Obviously we're having a sync issue. I think that's pretty clear from the snapshot. So whenever we're having these pulsing and kind of sync issue kind of things with the monitor, what are some steps that you can take on this Hantarex Polo in order to get those issues resolved?
Well, if we take those one at a time, we're just talking about the pulsing issue at first. Normally that's some kind of power issue or a power supply issue.
And I should say, he did replace the flyback and the hot, which are a part of the power supply, but it sounds like he may have something further upstream that's having problems, right?
Yeah, that's why he really needs to make sure his B plus voltage is dialed in, and then adjust if needed. And then if you can't get it dialed in, he's probably got some caps in those areas that are going to need to be replaced. It'd be a great monitor to do a cap kit on. I would go ahead and do that regardless. And then you got to rebuild the power supply section. You can't just, he did good by replacing the two big parts, but a lot of times those caps and stuff have already failed, and that's what causes the bigger parts to go out. The power is going right through there, and it didn't, the B plus was too high or something and burn them or hurt them, so it's blowing through them caps really quick. So we need to go ahead and replace the big parts to go ahead and do the smaller ones too, the caps and things like that. Then we talk about the sync issues. You got to make sure that the sync wires are connected properly to the chassis. And so you do have a sync chip that I think you'll talk about when you pop up the slide, but make sure your wiring is wired up correctly. But one thing I would do that power problem first and try to get that taken care of. That's kind of the order I would go in.
So Tim, he's saying, he's here in the live chat, like I mentioned, he's saying that the B plus cycles and that the filter caps have been replaced. Now, my question to him would be, is the pulsing still happening? Has it fixed the pulsing issue at all? Or are you still getting kind of that pulsing screen after doing those two things? So let us know. Because if it's not, maybe we're not getting the pulsing anymore. Maybe we're just getting a sync issue at this point. But after replacing the filter caps and after verifying the B plus, let us know where we are now. Are we still getting that same pulsing Kremnari that we were getting before? On the sync trouble, Tim, obviously the big thing is just make sure that your sync wire is hooked up. I know a lot of people take that for granted, and those pins on those input pins, man, they develop solder joint cracks more than any other part of a monitor chassis. I feel like the input wires, and so always check that. He says it's okay. He says it's still doing the pulsing, Tim, with the power, still doing pulsing. So I would probably recommend the full cap kit over just the filter caps at this point. And you just have to be careful with that because sometimes just replacing the filter caps is not enough, depending on how far upstream the problem is, like we're talking about. And so if we can do the full cap kit, let's do that now. There's obvious, when he's saying filter caps, I think those are the caps, like I said, right in that power supply section there. And so, obviously you need to check all the caps. So if you have an ESR meter, it may be good just going around and checking all those is what I would say. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I would do the shotgun approach and probably replace them all.
Sure.
Because obviously the whole monitor is going to need some repair.
Gotcha.
And that may help its sync issue too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if there's something along that sync line that's also a capacitor, could be it. On the sync trouble, IC104, I think, Tim, is one that kind of controls it's actually like the sync, what they call it, like a sync splitter. And so like that IC chip sometimes, if it goes bad, will cause like really weird sync issues. We've seen that before. And so I think I put that on the slide, Tim, though, so we can do that. Let me see real quick. Yeah, we got it on there. So let me go ahead and just throw the slide up here real quick for you, Kremnari, and see what we got. So it does look like you're having a combination of pulsing and sync issues. So let's take them one at a time. Pulsing is a power supply problem, typically, like we're talking about. So he did check the B+ voltage. He says it's cycling. So, you know, there are 2 test points that you can check it at. TP6 is one. I forget what the other one is, Tim. But I would definitely check it at both just to make sure that we're dialed in at both spots. I think there's a lag of, I can't remember the exact location, but if you lift the lag, I believe you can check it there. So you may want to look at that. And of course, you can try to adjust the pot in the power cage. It's a little, one of those little blue pots that usually is like pointed upwards, like it's pointed up toward the tube that you have to get in there and use your little screwdriver on or whatever you have. We prefer TV alignment tools just because they're usually non-conductive. So, but again, he says it could be, we said it could be bad filter caps. He says he's replaced those, Tim. So maybe we want to try the full cap kit as well, correct?
Yes, that'd be my next step.
Yeah, for sure. And anything on the power supply line. So what you probably want to do is trace back through that power supply line. If you see diodes that may be having issues, or if you see any other transistors, sometimes there are additional transistors on those lines that you need to check. You can check those check those, make sure that they're working properly, replace if needed. But anything on the power supply line is definitely what you want to check. Basically anywhere from where the power comes in all the way up to the flyback is where you want to go. So that's what we're looking at here. On the sync trouble, make sure the sync wires are connected properly to the chassis. Again, input wiring always sometimes it seems to have a lot more problems as a whole. So just make sure that those are connected. Those pins are connected to the chassis properly. Touch up the solder on the back if you need to. Check all components on the sync line, but especially check IC104 to make sure it's working correctly. Because like I said, that's like a sync. It's like a sync splitter chip. I forget it. That's not the correct term for it, but it's basically what it does. And so like, just make sure the IC104 is working properly, and you can check the voltage on those. You can also check the logic pins just to make sure all of that is working properly. But it is a combination issue, which does make it a little bit harder to diagnose, because we're definitely, it seems like we're getting, like I said, 2 problems here. We're getting a power supply issue of some sort, and we're also getting a sync issue, which, like I said, does make it a little bit harder too. And of course, we want to make sure your Lethal Enforcers board is working too. So make sure that you've plugged it into another cabinet or something, and that it is working properly, right, Tim?
Yes, of course.
Because I mean, we've been through in the past. We've been through where we will go through and troubleshoot an entire monitor, and we didn't even realize that it was the board that was not working the entire time. And so you do want to make sure that your game board is working properly as well. So, and Kremnari, if you have anything else besides the still pulsing, please let us know so we can get a little bit more information. But Tim, do you have anything else for him at this point right now?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, just let us know a little bit more about any of that. If you have done the full cap kit, like, let us know that. If you have checked IC104 already, or if you've checked the sync wiring and made sure that it's correct, like, tell us that as well. But yeah, that's all. I mean, all of this stuff, these are the common issues that you can have, Tim. Sometimes you have an uncommon issue, right?
Right.
And so sometimes it comes down to just something along that power supply line that is not operating properly. So sometimes you just want to touch up all the solder on all of the connections along the power lines on your chassis there, and just make sure everything is connected properly. Tim, literally, I had a cold solder joint on a G07, and the whole monitor wouldn't come on. And I touched up one solder joint, and the whole thing worked. So, I mean, you just never know. And like I said, all it would take is one cracked solder joint where it's not feeding through enough voltage right there. Maybe it's just feeding through just a bit. Or maybe that's why you're getting the pulsing. It's because it's making a connection that it's not. And when you touch up that solder, boom, it starts working. And so I would just recommend touching up the solder on everything on the power supply line as well. Okay, are we good, Tim?
I think so.
Sounds good. So, Kremnari, if you have anything else for us while we're going on through the show, let us know. We'll try to help you troubleshoot it further. And if not, we hope that you get it working. Please give us any updates that you have. And you can always email us at questions@arcaderepairtips.com after the show if you have any more updates past that. So good luck getting this Hand-Trex Polo working, and we hope that you're playing Lethal Enforcers again very soon. Okay, Tim, we're going to move to the live chat real quick. He says, Joe Holt says, always buy 2 games, then swap parts to narrow it down. If you can do that, that's great. And he's laughing, of course. So Kremnari says he did the full recap, but he'll check the continuity lead to lead. And that's what you're going to have to do probably at this point if you've already done all the cap kits. It could easily be either a cold solder joint or like a bad diode along the power supply line. It's very common. And so what I would do is I'd touch up all the solder on all of the individual parts on that line. And again, see if you can get the sync issue solved as well. And I mean, all you need to do, like I said, on the sync issue, just make sure that's connected properly and and then check the IC 104 there. Is that what it was? It's 104, right? Yeah. 104 just to make sure that is working properly as well. So
Yeah. Does he know his board works for sure?
I don't know. He didn't say that. So Kremnari, if you know if your Lethal Enforcer's board is working, that'd be a good point too. So let us know that as well. Jumpin' General says, getting ready to do a cap kit on a 4600. The daughter cards are something I've never messed with on the chassis. The nice thing about those is you can pull them out.
Right. Very easy.
So you can just pull out those cards and you can recap the cards and put them back in there. And sometimes that'll just fix the problem. Now, we will say sometimes you do need to touch up the solder on the pins where those cards connect because, like, if you take them out and put them in, take them out and put them in all the time, those joints will crack fairly easily. And so just make sure that you touched up the solder on those. And I would do that while you're doing the cap kit as well. If you're going to pull the whole chassis out, I would recommend that just to make sure that both those cards are making a good connection to your chassis. It's very important. And we do like the little black bar that goes over it just because they kind of hold the cards in place really well. So if you don't have that, you may want to like do a zip tie or something else over it just to make sure that those cards hold steady in there. Because Tim, I think we've seen before where the cards kind of almost wiggle out a little bit when you move the game if you don't have that little plastic cover on the top of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, so do something to secure it if you can. So if that's a zip tie or something else, just to secure those cards once you're done. That way, if you are moving the game, you don't have to worry about it. So, okay, Kremnari just says, thanks, guys. So, yeah, if you have any other updates, let us know. Like I said, I'd probably just start touching up solder and then checking individual components on the power supply line. That's probably where you want to go from here. And if you can make any progress on the sync issue, that'd be good as well. But again, make sure your Lethal Enforcer's board is working too. Super important there, of course, because we've had a lot of times where we're troubleshooting monitor issues and turned out the game board wasn't working. Totally, like I said, you just don't even think about it. Sometimes you take it for granted. So make sure that that's working properly as well. Okay, Tim, let's move to this next question from Steve. And Steve writes, I recently purchased a Cherry Master that has two connections for the board, a 36-pin and a 10-pin. The problem is the wiring diagram I received for the 36-pin portion doesn't reflect the connections on the harness. I assume that the power monitor wires are fine as I can get the video to come up on the monitor. However, where there should be wires, according to the diagram, there are not any actual wires on the harness. So my question is, can I just use whatever wires are available that aren't related to power and monitor to set up and coin up and buttons for the new video slot machine board? Now, Tim, this setup for Cherry Masters is very common, correct? Where we have a 36-pin edge connector and a 10-pin edge connector, correct?
Right. So
it sounds like he's got a board. There's a board that came with it that is wired up and working properly, and he maybe got a new board, and this new board, it's like the video's the same, the power's the same, but the button wiring and the coin-up wiring is different. And so in this case, what would you recommend Steve do in order to get this other board working properly?
Well, he needs to figure out what the pinouts are on the board he wants to work, because it could be different. You would think that most of them are JAMA and standard, but that's not always the case. Yeah,
and 36-pin is not, and that's the thing, it's not really JAMA. It's an edge connector, but it's not JAMA. And that is a Cherry Master standard, but I don't know if I would really call it JAMA, right?
Exactly. So there's a good chance that it just may need to be, some wires may need to be moved around, or he may have to add some wires. I think he even alluded to that, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he may have to add some wires. He got to find the pin out to the board that he purchased, whatever kind it is. And the good news is, though, if he's got the video and stuff, the other, you can just touch a wire to ground and see what it goes to and where, what it does. And he could just kind of play with it and probably figure it out. There's also probably some kind of test setting or something that he could go in that might help him. That's what I would do. Of course, he'll need a meter and do some continuity checks and stuff. But the fact that he's got video is a big plus.
For sure. So it sounds like the two boards that he has, the video must have been hooked up the same, or the way the cabinet is wired and the board that he bought, the video and the voltage is all the same. And that's like more than half the battle right there, because that means you've at least got picture and you've got sound and you probably have power. but getting the buttons working, it sounds like, is a little bit different. And unfortunately, his cabinet does not have actual harness pins and wires coming from it for those buttons. And so, like you're saying, you really need to determine if the diagram you have, you are assuming it's correct. And like Tim mentioned, you can try to do that yourself and do a continuity check, or just do a little quick like tap from a pin to the ground real quick just to see. Then if you can prove that the pinout sheet that you have does match your board, then it shouldn't be hard to add some pins and wires to your harness in order to make those connections. Right, Tim?
Yeah.
There we go. Exactly. So let's go ahead and throw up the slide here for Steve. It's possible that the pinouts for the Trainmaster board currently installed in your cabinet, or the way your cabinet is wired, do not match up to the new board that you purchased. You might try installing the new board again, as you know the power and video work, and seeing if you can play the game with the current setup. And if the game does not play, and it doesn't sound like it is, then you may need to rewire the cabinet in order to play the new board correctly. This may require that you insert pins and wires into the harnesses, and I say harnesses, Tim, because there are two. There's the 36 pin, the 10 pin, to make the required connections. If it is like JAMA, you will need the 0.156 push-in terminals, right, Tim?
Yes.
So these 0.156 push-in terminals, basically they're just little terminal pins that you will crimp onto a wire, and then you can just push in from the back side of the edge connector into one of the little square holes where the pin should be. When you push that thing through, it's going to make a connection to the board that will hopefully allow you to get those buttons working. But before you go to all that trouble, verify, like me and Tim were talking about, that where you're putting that wire and that pin is the correct spot for whatever you're trying to wire up. If that's a button, if that's a coin up, if that's a whatever else that may be. And you can do that by just a quick touch a wire to that pin and then to the ground real quick, just to do a quick test to see if it's working properly. And you can do that with several, like Tim mentioned, a test mode. If you can get into the test mode for it, that'd be a really great thing to do as well, because then you could easily pop a whole bunch of them and make sure that you've got the buttons wired correctly. Tim, anything else before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and hopefully that makes sense. I know, Tim, I'm not sure how much experience Steve has here, so I'm not sure if we're talking like Greek or if we're actually talking in English. So, but the thing is basically what it comes down to is that if there's not a pin and wire coming out of a location where you think a button should be, you need to put a pin and a wire in that location. It's as simple as that, I think. So, and look, if they sent you the pinouts with the board, I don't know of any seller that would purposefully send you incorrect pinouts with the board, right, Tim?
No, they shouldn't.
Right. So, I mean, I think for the most part, I would trust those pinouts, but you do need to verify. Trust but verify, right, Tim? So get into that test mode and just see, like if we're touching, like I said, we're touching to that pin, we touch to the ground real quick. If it fires off a coin or a button one or whatever, then we know that that's correct, and we can start wiring up those pins and those push-in terminals and the wires. Tim, anything else that you want to add for Steve here before we move on?
I don't think so, Steve. Just get back with us. If that did sound a little technical or you need additional help, let us know. We can dumb it down a little bit if we need to, or simplify it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we've actually shown that in a video where you would crimp a wire with a pin and then insert it into an edge connector. Probably something we need to do. Yeah, I was about to say, pretty easy to do, but it may be something. I'm sure there's somebody else who's done YouTube videos out there. We love all the YouTube videos that are out there helping people repair arcade games. It doesn't matter who's doing them. So if you can find another video of somebody inserting a pin into a edge connector, you may want to check that out. But if you want us to do like a quick little thing, we could probably do like a little quick vertical video of that. Wouldn't take us very long at all. So, we'll, like I said, just let us know if it doesn't make sense or anything, or if you have any issues with it, and we'll try to help you out as best we can. But it's not very hard, and you can get those push-in terminals from Arcade Parts and Repair, Twisted Quarter, Arcade Shop, Mike's Arcade. Who else, Tim?
Oh gosh, there's all DigiKey, Mauser, all those places. But I would just buy from the arcade suppliers. It may be a tiny bit more, but you're kind of supporting the hobby too. It's not going to be that much.
For sure, Tim.
Pinball Life sells a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we have a resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources, and at the very first heading says like arcade parts suppliers, arcade parts and something suppliers. And so if you just look down there, the vast majority of those sellers are going to offer these 0.156 inch push-in terminal pins. And so it's just a matter of ordering a set of them, getting you some bare wire, which you can also probably get from the seller as well. And then just go into town, crimp the pin onto some wire, put it in the connector, put the other, and you may want to get some quick disconnect terminals for the other end. So that way you can crimp it on there, hook it up to your buttons very easily, and be done with it rather quickly. So, okay, sounds good. So Steve, hopefully answers your question. If you need additional help or if you're not sure exactly what we're talking about, please let us know. We'll be happy to help you out further. Okay, Tim, let's go to this next question from Dave. And Dave writes, I'm trying to repair an Amatic 150 watt power supply. I have a Peter Chou cap kit. I was wondering if the Peter Chou cap kit is compatible with the Amatic 150 watt power supply. I think they are both very similar power supplies. They are from the same era and they both power Street Fighter II arcades. Any help would be great. Thank you. Now, Tim, I looked up the Amatic 150 watt power supply, and it's more that ATX style power supply with like the 9-pin connector on it, than it is like a traditional switching power supply where you have the screw terminals and all that kind of stuff. So we're talking more about the ATX style power supply. Now, Tim, Peter Chou, we know, makes both. Peter Chou designed a standard screw-in terminal switching power supply and also has several ATX style power supplies. And so we're not exactly sure which Peter Chou cap kit he has, but with that in mind, Tim, could that Peter Chou cap kit possibly be used on this Amatic 150 watt power supply?
Well, it's very likely. If it's a pretty decent cap kit with a lot of caps, you just got to make sure that whatever you're replacing is the same microfarad and the same voltage or higher. You don't want to go up in microfarads, but you could go up in voltage. So just make sure that but a lot of them should be the same. I can't imagine that they're not. We don't know that for sure, but I would think that it's a good way to do it. And you could do all the ones that you could find anyway and see if that helps.
For sure, Tim. And, a lot of power supplies, they're kind of all built very similar. Now, there may be some differences here and there, but switching power supplies are kind of all built on the same concept. And so there's not a whole lot of difference in design between manufacturers typically. Maybe a couple of things here, a couple of things there. But overall, your cap kit's probably going to be pretty darn close to what you have. But like Tim mentioned, the kicker is to make sure that you find caps are the same microfarad and either the same voltage or higher to replace the caps that are already in there and making sure you match the polarities correctly. So Tim, let's go ahead and talk about that while I put this slide up here. The Peter Chou cap kit will probably contain many, if not all, of the caps you need to repair the Amatic 150 watt power supply. Most standard switching power supplies use similar caps and components for their operation. Now, with that said, we recommend replacing what you can using the caps from the Peter Chou cap kit and order individual replacements for any additional caps you may find. Remember, you must replace a cap with another cap that has the same microfarad and ensure that it is in the correct polarity position. Okay, that little stripe that's on the cap, make sure that that's going in the correct polarity position on the board. And Tim, as we know, the polarity position indicated on the board is not always correct.
That is correct. Yeah, not always corrected for sure.
So sometimes they get silk screened wrong. So make sure, what we'd recommend doing is make sure that you get a nice, you get a cap kit from somebody that has already kind of mapped all that out and shows you what the correct polarity positions are, or you can check the manual a lot of times and find that information out. But Tim, if you order a cap kit from one of the suppliers that we recommend, typically they will have the locations and the polarity, and will also have the caps in there for you ready to go. So we'd always recommend that.
Look at the one you're taking off. It's probably right. It's probably the right polarity. It's just old. And
yes.
So I would really study it and see if it matches before you take it off of the board. Then you'll know you're good to put the next one in the same way.
Yeah, correct. If the power supply was working before and now you're just recapping it, I would match the polarity positions of the one that's coming out, not necessarily what's silk screened on the board, if that makes sense. And that's typically what we do, Tim. We try to match it to whatever position it is in when we pull it out is the position we put it back in, as long as we knew that it was working to begin with. So the voltage of the new cap can be greater than or equal to the original cap. So that's very important. So like, let's say you have like a 2700 microfarad at 15 volts. You can put a 2700 microfarad at 40 volts in there, and that's fine as long as it's higher. it's fine. If it's lower, then you run into trouble. So make sure that the voltage of the new cap is either greater than or equal to the original cap, and that the microfarads are the same, exactly the same, and that the polarity position is correct. As long as you do that, you should be fine. And so what I would start doing is, locate a cap on your Amatic power supply, read the microfarad and the voltage off there, look in the Peter Chou cap kit, see if you have a match, and if you do, take it out and replace it. Easy enough. And for any caps that are still left on the board after you've done all that, just order some individuals, replace them as needed, kind of thing. Tim, anything else here for Dave before we move on?
I can't think of anything.
Sounds good. So Dave, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Amatic power supply recapped. Tim, these power supplies have gotten more expensive, but they're still not like overly expensive. I think you can still get a nice ATX style power supply for what, $60-$70, something like that, maybe going into the 100 range now. But if the cap kit fails, it's probably not that much to just go ahead and replace the whole thing, right?
Right. We very seldom, we might build a rebuild like an old Atari power supply, linear or something, but we very seldom rebuild a power supply like that. We just replace it.
Absolutely, Tim. So, but again, if you're on a budget, it's way cheaper to do the cap kit for sure. And cap kits aren't that expensive. So, if you can get it working with that, it might be worth your trouble for sure. Great way to go about it if you want to save a little cash. So, and right now, Tim, with things being so expensive, might be a good time to save a little cash. So, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, Dave, hopefully that helps you out. And please keep us updated. Let us know how it goes with your Amatic 150-watt power supply cap kit. Okay, Tim, let's go to this next question from EDE4345. EDE4345, and they write, I have a Terminator 2 gun arcade and the sound works, but the sound goes off whenever I reach a certain level. If I quit the game and start from the beginning, the sound comes back on again. What could be the issue and how do I fix this? So, Tim, Terminator 2, Judgment Day arcade game. We know it has the potentiometer-based guns in it. We know that it's a Midway-style board, kind of like a Mortal Kombat 2 style system. And so with all that in mind, Tim, what are some hints that you can give EDE4345 in order to get their sound back up and running after they get past that certain level?
Well, one way we can start with this one is to look at what it's not. It's not the speaker.
Yeah.
Probably not the wiring.
Right.
Probably not the potentiometer. You're eliminating a lot of stuff right off the bat because it does work. It just doesn't work when you get to a certain point or certain stage, a certain level. Anytime we see a game at anything, if it's getting to a certain place, and then, we want to make sure our power supply is right. We're getting enough voltage. It's not at a stage where it needing a little bit more power. That could be the case, but more than likely, anytime we see this, we have a bad chip on the board, probably a ROM chip. And so that's what I would highly recommend. Look at the sound ROMs, maybe even get a new set. But you could start off by cleaning them and reseating them and that kind of stuff that we talked about before.
Yeah, Tim, and something that we always should mention, Tim, is that most, especially this age of board, they have a really good self-test in there that'll test like all the ROMs and things. And so what you may want to do is go into the test mode and then run that self-test and see if it identifies anything wrong with your ROM chips. It'll probably tell you if there are any issues, if it has trouble loading any of those sounds. But what's probably happening, Tim, is he's getting to that level, and that level is trying to load something that's on a sound ROM, and the sound ROM's like, hey, that ain't there, basically. And so you end up with just basically nothing. And so I'm kind of leaning towards what you're saying here, probably more of a sound ROM issue. But again, the self-test should be able to identify that if you need help with it. Tim, those boards also have little coin cell batteries on them that are used to save the settings. And I've seen when those coin cells go bad, they can also cause a lot of sound issues. And so make sure that coin cell is working as well. It's just another, like I said, just another tip for you there in case you need it. But more than likely, probably running into some sort of sound ROM issue. So Tim, let's go ahead and put this up here real quick so we can talk about it. It's possible that you're having an issue with the sound ROM if the sound drops out when you reach a certain level. Before suspecting the ROM, let's make sure that the soundboard is getting good power. Okay, always very important, from the power supply, and that the ribbon cable between the main board and the soundboard is making a good connection. Tim, we know just from a lot of experience that those ribbon cables can be the cause of a lot of headaches in every single board set that has a ribbon cable. And so just make sure that that ribbon cable is connected properly. You may have to replace it, and there should be ready-made replacements from like Mike's Arcade and some of the other part suppliers that we have on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. Once you have checked all those areas, run the sound diagnostic in the self-test to see if it identifies any problems. You may also consider recapping the soundboard, as cracked solder joints and bad caps are common, like we've talked about before. Tim, probably not that in this case, but we've seen stranger things. And not the show, but we've seen stranger things, as in stranger things happen. And so, we need to be careful about that. And so it is possible that it could be causing, some cracked solder joints or bad caps could be causing that issue. And if I'm looking for cracked solder joints, I'm probably looking on those socketed, on the sound ROM sockets, Tim, because those are socketed chips. We want to make sure that those pins are all connected to the board properly. You may need to clean up some solder, touch up some solder on those in order to get them working. And like I mentioned, if you haven't replaced the coin cell battery that holds all the settings, try that out, reset all the settings, and see if it does any better from there. Tim, anything else for EDE4345 before we move on?
No, I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered that one good, but he can email us back if he has any more additional questions.
For sure, and I put a picture of what the sound ROMs look like there. I'll go ahead and throw it back up here so he can see. That's the location that they're at on the board. They're all clumped together right there, and they are socketed. So it's just a matter of you basically pulling them out, pushing new ones in. And Tim, of course, if you need new copies of the sound ROMs, you can order those from our friends at hobbyroms.com. They will burn some ROMs for you. Just tell them which ones you need, and they will burn them. So if you don't have a ROM burner of your own, which most of us don't, then it's a nice way for you to get those sound ROMs available to you, and without having to do all the burning stuff yourself. Tim, sometimes to burn the correct ROMs, you need like an old computer with like old software and all that kind of stuff, and most of us just don't have that kind of setup lying around. So,
Right.
So with that in mind, hobbyroms.com, EDE4345 for replacements. You gonna say something, Tim?
Just get them while you still can.
Absolutely. So, but hopefully between the power supply, checking the sound ROM chips, going into self-test, seeing if we're getting any bad chips in there. Hopefully between all that, we're gonna get that soundboard up and running again, and resetting the settings with the coin cell battery replacement. A lot of times that'll fix it as well. Well, Tim, we're finally to the part of the show that we call quick question and answer. Tim, I can't even remember the last time we had enough questions for a quick question and answer. So that tells you something.
It's been a while.
Right, so tonight we have two, Tim, and they're both from our YouTube page. I'm going to throw them up here real quick so we can discuss them. The first one is from, Adrian P5121, and he writes, "Hi, everyone. Can you tell me more about light guns? Depending on the solenoid position, does it fire more or less? Thanks." Okay, so Tim, I think he's talking about the kickback solenoid.
Uh-huh.
So he's wondering, if it's in a different position, would the light gun fire more or less? So that's the question from Adrian P5121. And then Alicia Underwood 6799 says, "How do you replace a Centipede upright video arcade monitor?" So we have two here, Tim. Real quick questions and answers. We got Adrian P that's wondering about a solenoid position and light guns, and if it fires more or less with it in there. And also Alicia Underwood wondering how we replace a Centipede upright video arcade monitor. So Tim, let's take these one at a time. So does the solenoid position make the light gun fire more or less, or does it matter at all?
It doesn't really affect it at all. That's just a residual reaction to a button being pressed. And, the faster you press the button, the more that solenoid is going to fire. It doesn't really have, he could test it by taking it out and see if it mattered. What really matters is the sensitivity of the switch back behind the trigger. And you can make that to where it doesn't take a full pull to make that go off. You could do a half pull, which would help you fire a little faster, but it still has to come back. I'm assuming he's trying to get an edge by firing a little quicker, but there's really not much you can do. The solenoid shouldn't affect that at all.
Gotcha. And of course, Alicia Underwood is wondering how she can replace the monitor in her Centipede cabinet, Tim. How can she do that?
Well, we shot a video on replacing arcade monitors that she can watch. It's pretty simple. You got to make sure you discharge the monitor. Then you're going to unhook the wiring, all the wiring going up to it, and the power. And you're going to have to take probably the bezel out and stuff. It depends. Sometimes it's easier, depending on the game, to take it out the front, and sometimes easier to take it out the back. You're just going to have to get in there and look. We don't really have a picture or anything of hers. And you think just based on Centipede, they're all the same, but they're really not. Most Centipedes would come out the front, and you would unbolt them and just hold the tube. Definitely, we like to do it as a two-person job. I've done it by myself, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, for sure. Getting it out, especially getting it out of the front, Tim. A lot of times you need somebody to push from the back and then somebody else to pull from the front, so that way it'll come out. It's so heavy, even though it's a 19-inch, it's still very heavy, and so like trying to pull it out from the front with brute force is very difficult. And if you push it from the back, you need something to catch it to keep it from falling out whenever you disconnect it. Correct? Yes. Tim, do you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you just for a second.
Okay, we had a little internet hiccup there. I was saying, so when you push it from the back, if you're by yourself, sometimes you need something to catch it in the front, correct?
Right. Correct.
Yeah, so if you don't have somebody there to catch it, you can end up in bad shape. So I get that. Okay, with all that said, let's go ahead and show the slide for both these questions here, Tim. So on Adrian P5121's question, we assume that you're talking about the kickback solenoid, like we talked about on a light gun. The light gun should fire at the same speed regardless of whether or not the solenoid is hooked up. Of course, you can try it yourself. Unhook the solenoid and see if it fires any faster for you. And like Tim mentioned, you can mess with that, the little trigger switch a little bit. You may be able to bend it to make it a little bit faster there. Give it less travel, right, Tim?
Right.
So that would give it a little bit less travel, and you may be able to squeeze a little bit faster shooting out of that. But overall, I don't know if it's going to make a huge difference one way or another. But I'm curious. So if you want to disconnect the solenoid, try it with that, and then try it with it hooked up and let us know. We'd love to hear the results from that. On Alicia Underwood's question, it's just a matter of disconnecting and removing the original monitor, then installing and connecting the new monitor. We recommend a CRT if you can find one, or a commercial-grade arcade-quality LCD. Tim, we say that all the time, right?
Right.
Commercial-grade arcade-quality LCD, commercial-grade arcade-quality LCD. That supports, of course, 15 kilohertz natively. And you can see our post and video on replacing an arcade monitor for more information. Now, Tim, we should say that video is on a main cabinet that is horizontal. When it comes to a vertical monitor, Tim, you may have to play with how you position it and make sure that you've got it rotated correctly, right?
Exactly.
Most LCDs will have an option for you to change the to flip or mirror the picture in the on-screen display settings. Some CRTs will not. And so on a CRT, you have a couple options. You can just make sure that it's in the right orientation when you put it in there, or you can flip the yoke wires, right, Tim?
Yeah, we don't recommend that though. It's easier. We always would test it outside the machine if possible to see which way it would go, first.
Yes.
And then that makes it easy. But if it's a similar monitor, just look at the way the one that's in there. That'll help you a little bit too.
Absolutely, Tim. So yeah, if it's the same monitor, you can always just put it in the same way. That does not guarantee, though, it's going to be correct, right, Tim?
That is correct. But the worst case scenario is you flip it around. It's not that hard. Not a big deal.
That's true. So just as a hint, you may not want to bolt the monitor tube down to the cabinet until you've checked to make sure the orientation is correct. You can just let it sit there. A lot of times Centipede has a nice shelf that the monitor will just sit on, right, Tim? And they can just leave it there and hook it all up, see if it's working. And if everything looks good, then you bolt down everything and you'll be in good shape. So, okay, Tim, anything else for Adrian P5121 or Alicia Underwood 6799 here, Tim?
No, I don't think so.
Sounds good. So thank you guys both for your questions, and hopefully you guys that helped you out a little bit. I would love to hear the results of Adrian P and his solenoid test if he ends up doing that. And of course, Alicia Underwood, if you need additional help replacing that Centipede monitor, please let us know, and we'd love to help you out further. Well, Tim, we're to the discussion portion of the night tonight. So we have some news that we're going to be talking about that happened over the course of this past month. And we've got about 5 stories, Tim, 5, that we're going to be talking about tonight. And these are the ones that got the most traffic on our social media. That's always how we kind of pick. So people are always wondering, like, how do you know which stories to go with? Well, it's the ones that were the most popular with you guys. So if you guys are on our social media pages, then you kind of get a vote. Every time you view a story of ours, that's kind of a vote for which ones we're going to cover on the next live show. And Tim, we want to remind everybody that we have a post. How often, Tim?
Every single day.
Every single day, there's at least one post about arcade news. Right, correct. Or there's a post. Not always about arcade news. But every single day there is a post on there. So if you want the best arcade news you can possibly get, follow us on Twitter, X/X, or on Facebook to get all that great stuff. So Tim, with all that out of the way, let us move to our first news story, and let's discuss it real quick. And this is on Pizza Hut, Tim. I actually had some Pizza Hut tonight. Pizza Hut brings back its old school restaurant features as nostalgic customers rejoice. So excited. And Tim, this is from the New York Post. The Dalen Corporation, who owns almost 100 Pizza Hut locations, is bringing a piece of the 90s back with their new retro concept. The remodeled classic stores include iconic elements like the famous red plastic cups, retro-style decor, and more of a sit-down restaurant experience. Fans online are celebrating the return of the old-school vibe, with many reminiscing about arcade games, bucket rewards, and family pizza nights. Now, Tim, this got a lot of traffic from a lot of different websites. This is the New York Post story, but man, I probably saw this story on every single outlet that I could think of. And so, Tim, what do you think it is about this classic store concept that's getting people so excited? Where'd Tim go? You disappeared. Hello?
Had emergency bathroom, right?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, we'll give you a moment. While you're doing that, I'm going to look over. You're back.
Okay.
There he is.
Yeah, I was, I don't know. That's just what we remember. So many people, and let's face it, it's not quite the hangout that it was back in the day. And to bring those people back like us, well, they're going to give us a reason to hang out again. You just don't see, man, I'm shaky, aren't I? You just don't see it just like you used to.
Yeah, I do remember when I was a kid, where the Pizza Hut I remember going to, now there's a Long John Silver there. Is it? No. Now it's a Golden Chick. Used to be a Long John Silver. So I went from a Pizza Hut to a Long John Silver to a Golden Chick. And man, it did have exactly what we're talking about. It had a jukebox. It had like a cocktail table. I think it had like maybe a pinball machine. And it had the tables with the lamps. And it had the red cups and all that kind of stuff. And the buffet. And so that's definitely what I remember when I think of Pizza Hut, is that old school style. And so I think it's definitely targeting like people that are like 90s and 80s kids, I think, that remember going to Pizza Hut during that time for sure. Now, and like I said, I had Pizza Hut tonight. Pizza to me is still good. Now, it's not the best, but I mean, for mass-produced pizza, Tim, I feel like it's fine. I still probably prefer a local pizza joint over that, but it's cheap and it's pretty decent. And I think, there was something, I don't know, about going to the physical location and getting that nice pan pizza brought out to you in the pan that just made it so good.
Yeah, plus, the buffets, some of them had buffets. Those were cool.
Absolutely. And in fact, ours did have a buffet, Tim. I do remember that, and it was great. And, buffets have kind of gotten out of style, I feel like, just as a whole. You don't see as many of those. But Pizza Hut was still rocking the buffet at that point. So I actually looked up to see where the closest one was to us, so that way I could take the kids there, because I want the kids to kind of have that experience at some point. And so, but to be honest with you, I went to Pizza Hut a lot less than I went to Mazzio's Pizza. That was probably more my hang. So, I still like Pizza Hut. We'd still go there occasionally. But same concept in both: pizza, drinks, like sodas, games, and all that good stuff, right?
So where's the closest?
I think it was Athens. Athens?
I was going to say Athens or Mineola.
Or Palestine, one or the other.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm in those areas working all the time. I'll have to go and check it out.
There you go. I'm going to read some of the comments here from the live chat, Tim. People chiming in. General Strife Extra says, as someone that never got to experience Prime Pizza Hut, this makes me excited, especially as someone that loves vintage and retro things such as Red Roof Pizza Huts. Joe Holt says, chipped up plastic red cups included. That's right. They're always a little chipped. I noticed that too. I think the dishwasher, right, when they would go through there. Let's see. General Strife Extra says, now to get classic McDonald's back. I need those. I need those. Let's see. Mansard roofs back. And, I miss that too, Tim. When I have a video of my brother and sister's birthday. My brother and sister's birthday are like a day apart. Well, 3 years and a day apart. And so we always celebrate their birthdays together. And I have a video of us at McDonald's celebrating their birthday with the little play place,
Yeah, you don't see parties there at all anymore.
No, exactly. You see, I always thought that was big business for them. Birthday parties seem to be big business. Chuck E. Cheese does really well with those, right?
Right. I don't know why they kind of, I guess they probably still do them. Maybe I just don't go on the weekends or something.
Yeah. Well, they don't have the play places anymore at most of them either. And I think that's really what's kind of caused the birthday parties to go away. Because that's what you do. You'd eat there, you go to the play place, and, your kids could wear out, get their energy out and everything. You'd get done there, and you'd be tired and ready to go home kind of thing. So let's see. Joe says, I'm doing the book program for the free personal pan pizza.
Oh, yeah, says, I remember that.
Yeah, Book It. So Book It was a big deal. Like, I remember Book It was awesome. Like, that was the thing. Joe also says the local Wendy's fast food had a buffet, believe it or not. I do remember the super buffet at Wendy's. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, that was a
But
big deal.
like potatoes and stuff on it.
Yep.
I remember like baked potatoes and stuff on it. I can't remember what else. They didn't have hamburgers.
No. Yeah, but that was and salad. They had salads too, typically.
Yeah.
But yeah, super buffets, like the super buffet inside the Wendy's, that was a big deal too. KFC's, like our KFC used to be a buffet. The one on the loop there, Tim, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yep.
That used to have a buffet in it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So General Strife Extra says, as someone way too young to experience showbiz, I would rather go there compared to Chuck E. Cheese. And I think, Tim, for those of us who got to experience like prime showbiz or prime Chuck E. Cheese, what Chuck E. Cheese is today is not the same, right?
Not even close.
Yeah, for sure. It's especially now that they've done away with the animatronics, Tim. I think they took away the one identifying feature that like everybody remembers from like those early Chuck E. Cheese Showbiz Pizza days, right?
Yeah, I can see that making a comeback eventually.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think people are still astounded by animatronics. I mean, we went to Disney World earlier this year, and like some of the animatronics they have now are just insane. If you could do an updated Chucky animatronic that was almost AI based that would interact with kids, I think that'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, but you'd really need to tweak it to make sure it was safe. You know what I'm saying? So.
Sure.
Let's see. Regular Show says, I remember the buffet at Wendy's. Didn't they have pudding in the buffet, Tim? I don't remember if they had pudding. Do you?
Yeah, I remember the basic like chocolate pudding and stuff. I remember that.
There you go. So, okay, very nice. So, thank you guys for sharing all of your input there on this one. I think, Tim, this one got the most traction of all of the stories that we're posting tonight. And it's easy to see why. I think people do reminisce for a time. Even people who weren't necessarily there during the prime Pizza Hut era still reminisce for that time. And I remember it fondly, Tim, and it was great. And I kind of want to relive it again with my kids, just to go to a Pizza Hut, order a nice, big, large pan pizza, have it brought out to us on the skillet, and play some jukebox and some arcade games. Always my favorite thing to do anyway. So,
Jonathan, I think did we have a question kind of right before you went into that from?
Yeah, I'm scrolling up here. It looks like Mr. D-Man 8 says, hello guys, it's been a while, but finally catching a live show. My Double Dragon restoration is almost complete, but I just need the correct bezel graphic. Any recommendations who to contact? So Tim, we do have artwork suppliers listed on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources, but we can tell you a couple of people we recommend for that. I don't know if they'll have your particular graphic. Let me say that up front.
Maybe somebody in the live chat would know or could do a quick search for them on
right.
One of those.
So Game On Graphics we've used a lot. And so we highly recommend Game On Graphics just because we've had a lot of experience with them. They've always printed things well. And so we do recommend them. And if they have it, I'm sure they'll print it for you. Tim, for Double Dragon, they may be your best bet because I don't know if like Phoenix Arcade's probably not going to have that.
Probably not.
I was trying to think of some other ones. But if you go to our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources, we have a whole list of artwork suppliers there that you can contact to see if they'll have it for you. But Game On Graphics is the one that we've used for years. We used it back even when they were named Main Marquee, Tim. It's been that long. And so we've been really happy with their stuff. And so check with them first. And if not, check with some of the other ones on our resources page. Hopefully they can help you find that, what was it, bezel, Tim? Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah. I already scrolled back down. I'm kind of looking at some other questions. So.
Well, the chat's pretty lively tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to see it tonight for the first. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, it is a very small window over here with the smallest font possible, and so Tim is usually sitting like to this side, and so he can't even. There's no way he can read it, and so tonight he's actually on the YouTube stream, so he can kind of read your stuff. That's nice.
Yeah.
Jumpin' Journal says they tore down my local Pizza Hut. Next, closest one is a Pizza Hut. To go only restaurant, no tables. So both the Pizza Huts we have here in town now are like that, right?
Wow, yeah.
They're the to-go restaurants.
I guess Jacksonville's the closest one.
Probably. So, General Strife Extras, people are too lazy to eat out. We are seeing the effects of this, such as McDonald's removing drink fountains, all because people prefer to DoorDash than to have an experience eating out with friends. That is true. Tim, I still go out, not super often, but part of the problem is it's gotten really expensive to do that too. So. Obviously not for fast food, but like for a sit-down restaurant, it's kind of expensive.
Probably our favorite thing when we went to Europe was going out to eat was like a 2 or 3 hour event.
Yeah.
I mean, They don't get in a rush. They're not trying to turn a table. The guy's not trying to make tips. It was just they bring it out in different courses, and you sit and you visit. It was, and we thought about it when we came home. Even when we go out and eat, let's say we go to Olive Garden, we feel like we're waiting. When's my food coming? Let's go. I want to eat. And then they're like, here's your check. It's like we're just trying to flip the table and get out and get more people in here. I really miss the old days. Like when we would go to Pizza Hut, that was one of the things we do. We'd stay a while. We play games, and we spent some family time. I think he's correct there.
Yeah, for sure. Jumpin' General says we need to bring back flip phones and Pizza Hut, Tim.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. General Strife Extras, they are too focused about getting it quick, getting it over with, and eating, and taking their time and enjoying the experience. For sure. I think that's exactly what you're talking about there, Tim.
Yeah.
And money is a big issue nowadays, that's for sure. Unfortunately, that is the thing, is that it's just it costs so much to eat out. Now, the nice thing about Pizza Hut, Tim, is that you can buy a large pizza, and that can feed a lot of people, right? So, I mean, a big, large pizza will feed quite a bit. For my family, like 2 medium pizzas is usually enough for all of us to eat on, right? And so that's usually not too expensive when you go to Pizza Hut. So Pizza Hut is kind of, I think, in a way primed to kind of take back over this market. Because, I mean, what other sit-down pizza places can you think of that are actually reasonable to eat at?
Yeah, most of them are take and bake or go, pick up and delivery. Think of Domino's. You don't go in Domino's and eat.
And the ones that used to be sit-down pizza restaurants, like we have Perry's Pizza, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or Double Dave's, those were all expensive. That's the problem.
Very expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Pizza Hut's is pretty reasonable for the amount of pizza that you get. And so to have that sit-down experience for a reasonable price with your family and be able to enjoy a nice pizza and maybe some arcade games too, I think would be worth it for a lot of people. So.
Well, and you have like loyalty programs now where you can earn points and coupons and things, especially when you order online. There's ways to bring down the cost and try to get your business.
Yeah. Joe Holt says, I see Tim and John animatronic AI show in Art's future. Maybe not animatronic, but with AI video nowadays, Tim, I saw where Google's Gemini can actually make your avatar. So if you upload a whole bunch of videos of yourself, it makes an avatar of you, and then you can make that avatar do whatever you want.
Wow, that might be interesting.
So if I made you can only make an avatar of yourself. So if I made an avatar of me, you made an avatar of you, we could just plug in all the stuff and the show would just happen. So
could we just tell it to fix a game and see what it would do? And
it probably would generate it all and show us trying to fix it. Of course, you know how AI video is. It's kind of hit or miss there. So
I was going to say, maybe we'd get some more video content out that way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, for sure. If we did that, maybe that's what we're going to do next, Tim. That's how all the videos are going to be. We're just going to make our avatar, sit back and watch the money flow in as if it's already been flowing now. So, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, so you never know. Not animatronic, though. I think the electronics are too expensive. But definitely maybe an AI version at some point. Who knows? So, with the way AI is going, it's going to replace us all, Tim.
Maybe so.
There we go. So, okay, Tim, let's go ahead and come over to our next news story. And this one has a picture of Billy Mitchell, Tim, but he's really not the highlight necessarily of the story. Maybe one of his records is. But this is
he's
the
not getting sued again or nothing, right?
What now?
He's not getting sued or suing anybody, right?
Not that I know of. Not right now, Tim. I know they're still in the other lawsuit that we reported on. Was that last month or the month before? With Carl Jobst. I know they're doing the Florida lawsuit. I don't know if there's any updates on that. But, Tim, this is not focused on that. This is focused on the 10 arcade game high scores that will never be beaten. So this article highlights 10 legendary arcade high scores considered nearly impossible to surpass due to extreme difficulty, marathon sessions, and limited competition. The standout records include Billy Mitchell's perfect Pac-Man score of 3,033,360 and Jordan Dorrington's staggering 20,980,450 points in Galaga'd. It also covers impressive achievements in Dig Dug, Flicky, Papa Shot, Dance Dance Revolution, and more, many of which have remained unchallenged for years or decades. Now, Tim, I should mention that I did an interview with Jordan Dorrington for our interviews podcast. What was that, a couple years ago? And that guy is super nice. I can't say enough good things about Jordan Dorrington and how just nice he is and just how good a Galaga'd player he is. Oh, my goodness. He is amazing. So if you have not listened to that, I do recommend going back into our archives to the interviews podcast with Jordan Dorrington and checking it out. Tim, I need to do another interview with him. He's just so interesting. There's so much we didn't cover. and hopefully at some point I can get back together with him. But he's super nice guy, and he runs the Galaga'd group on. He's one of the people that's in the Galaga'd group on Facebook that you can become a part of if you're interested in trying to get high scores and all that good stuff. But his record is pretty staggering, Tim.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm good to break 1 million. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's like it. So to get like almost 21 million, yeah, that's not even close. So but it's fun to dream. But if you watch Jordan play, he does upload his gameplay videos sometimes. You will see that guy has got skill, and it's pretty amazing. So, but again, really good stuff. Tim, I think we're going to talk about Galaga'd high score here in a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yep, we're going to talk about that in another news story. So we'll go ahead and move on from this one, Tim. But if you have a moment, maybe glance over all those high scores and let us know which one you think is the most impressive of the 10.
I think the Galaga'd one to me is still always.
For sure. So, okay, Tim, let's move to our next story. And this is a story that basically has to do with the Neo Geo AES Plus, which is the kind of remanufactured version of the AES. And apparently people are struggling to pre-order it, Tim, because there's been a lot of supply issues. So North American retro gaming fans have faced major issues trying to pre-order the Neo Geo AES Plus, a modern version of SNK's iconic home arcade console. Plaion says demand has massively exceeded expectations, with pre-orders reportedly surpassing the company's annual forecast within 24 hours, Tim. The company is now working to resolve tax registration, shipping, and checkout problems affecting U.S. customers. Tim, we did post, of course, that this is available recently, and now that it is actually available, it's kind of not available because they can't get enough stock to satisfy the demand, which kind of figured that would be the case because this is a pretty big release here, Tim. It's basically like a re-release of the original AES console, which is a very expensive console back in the day, but is now something that people can actually afford. And I think that people who grew up like me with the Neo Geo are very excited to see it come back in this form. Tim, have you ever seen an AES console? I'm curious.
No, I've never seen them.
I know you've seen the MVS ones.
Right.
Which is the arcade equivalent. The AES version is the home equivalent. Pretty much the same games between both platforms. Cartridges are different, but the hardware is pretty much the same. It's just that one is for your home console and one is for the arcade. And so, it's like I said, so this is basically just a re-release of that home console version. And it sounds like that they're having some supply issues. Hopefully they can get all that resolved, Tim. If I could walk into the store and buy one and the price was right, I probably would. So
sure.
For sure. So anyway, guys, if you guys have already pre-ordered one, let us know. I'm curious to see how many of you guys have actually tried to pre-order one. So if you pre-ordered one, you have one already on order, let us know. Or if you're interested in it, let us know, because I'd love to see what kind of demand that we have for this new AES Plus console. So just let us know in the live chat. We'll be happy to discuss that with you and hopefully talk about it a little bit as well. So. Okay, Tim, let's come to our next news story here. Stern Pinball launches Transformers More Than Meets the Eye. So this is the new pinball release from Stern, Tim, and we kind of knew it was coming, but I think the biggest thing that people are loving about this is that it's based on the G1 Transformers, which is like pretty much everybody's favorite version of Transformers, right?
Mm.
So Stern Pinball has officially revealed Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, a new machine based on the classic G1 cartoons and toys. The game features voice work from Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, interactive lighting show effects. And I should say Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, Tim, are like two of the major voice actors in Transformers. It's hard to do a good Transformers without those guys. Interactive lighting effects and unique competitive mode where two players can battle at the same time. Tim, have you heard about that?
I have not.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly how that works, but it sounds cool. Pinball and arcade fans were especially excited about the heavy 80s nostalgia and collector-focused limited edition model, Tim, which I'm sure is going to eat your wallet alive. So, Tim, so obviously of all the themes that you could have done, would you have picked this G1 Transformers theme? Is this something that you're interested in at all?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to play it at a convention or something. I doubt I'll ever own one. But, perfect theme. Well, it'll get a lot of sales.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that the Transformers G1, like I said, is pretty much everybody's favorite version of Transformers. And so I knew the last Transformers pinball they did was based on the movie franchise, right, Tim?
Right.
And so to see this kind of go back to more of the cartoonish style, I think that will add more longevity to the game. I feel like any time that there is a pinball machine that's based on a movie, like a live action movie, I feel like it kind of takes away from the longevity of the game. I don't know why. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, because well, movies are popular when they're out and maybe first release, but then you kind of revisit them a while back. But look at Tron, it was hot for a little bit, but then it's not.
Yeah. Well, now I think the Tron pinball machine is still cool. Of the live action ones, that's probably one of my favorites. But I was thinking like Avengers, like the live action movie Avengers version was pretty rough. The live action Transformers one is not really my favorite. I was trying to think of some other ones, some other live action movies that I'm not super fond of the pinball machine on. Those two in particular, though, like the live action Avengers pinball, and the live action Transformers pinball, are kind of like that. So, but having the animated versions seem to hold up better for sure to me. So anyway, so let us know what you think though, if you're interested in this pinball theme, or if there's something else you'd rather see Stern come out with, Tim. I think they're going to sell a lot of these. I think they picked a winner here, but we'll just have to see going forward. Of course, they got Pokemon still, Tim, but we've been kind of hearing mixed reviews about that. Have you got to play Pokemon?
I have not. I haven't
Okay.
seen one in the wild yet.
Yeah, me either. I think Mark said he got to play it and he wasn't very impressed. And so,
Huh.
it's very hit or miss. I've heard people who say they love it, and I've heard people say that they don't. And so I'm not sure what to think about that one. I need to probably put my hands on it and give it a couple rounds of play just to see. But the theme is they definitely picked a good theme. But you can have a great theme, and if the layout's not good, Tim, of course, that's a different story entirely.
It's
So
hard to make a winner every time.
for sure. General Styles Extras or General Strife Extra says Harry Potter pinball. So Jersey Jack, of course, is that one already out, Tim? I think it's already out, right?
Yeah, it should be by now.
Yeah, so it's out already. So if you want to try it, Jersey Jack has the license to that, and you may be able to find it at your local pinball establishment and try it out. So Jersey Jack is going to be announcing something soon, Tim. I'm not sure what their next. I don't know if we've heard any rumors about what their next release is going to be, but we know it's coming. What was it?
I haven't even heard a rumor.
Yeah, I don't know, but we have heard that they're coming out with something. They're getting ready for release, and it does seem like it's a Steve Ritchie release. So we'll have to see what that is. But Dell's Arcade says, I'm over the Stern stuff. Too much, too soon. Yeah, I think they're just kind of flooding the market now to a certain extent. I do think they need to probably slow down a little bit and take a little bit more time with the games. Just for me, I think Pokemon may be an indication that they're all about the theming now and less about the actual design to a certain extent. I could be wrong about that, but just from the impressions I've gotten from other people, that's kind of what it sounds like to me. So
Yeah, I agree with Joe. We need to quit with the theme pinballs for a little bit. Come up with an original, something that's fun to play.
they did Black Knight there. I guess if you want to
Yeah.
call that original, that's probably the last quote unquote original theme that they did. Can you think of one before that?
No, I always
Yeah.
theme pinballs.
Yeah, we've had a lot of pinballs since then. I think they've all been themed for the most part. So, but the problem is that I don't see them getting away from theming anytime soon. So I just don't. And it seems like prices continue to go up, and it does. I think we're starting to see demand kind of wane. And so I'm wondering if we're kind of hitting a wall with it, especially now with the economy the way it is. I'm wondering if we're going to see prices start to dive a little bit. I think we started to see that on the secondary market. It seems like used pinball machine prices are coming down, Tim. Have you noticed that?
A little bit.
Yeah, there's some games that are definitely down a little bit more than what I would have thought at this point. And so so
Well,
maybe that's it. Go ahead.
the economy, people just don't have that discretionary income, just to spend on stuff like that. So it's not as many people trying to buy.
Yeah. General Strife Extra says only pinball I really ever played was Skylab, Tim, 1974. That's a great one.
Well,
Let's see. Joe Holt says Batman 66 was good. Batman 66 is very good. I've played that one. That's a very good pinball machine. Let's see. Kremnari says Space Cadet. So that's a good one too. Tim, we got a quick question here before we go into our next news story. This is from PWC. It says, hey guys, I bought a Pac-Man. I purchased orange T-molding for pack cabinets, and it was almost a 1/4 inch too wide. Have you guys run across this? Actually, we have, right, Tim?
Well, I don't know. Quarter inch is really wide.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's adding it on both sides, like it's an eighth of an inch on each side, or if it actually is a quarter of an inch on each side.
Right. A quarter inch is pretty good hangover.
Agreed.
Yeah, I would want some, but I'm not all of it. A lot of it does go over a little bit. If it bugs you, you could do it. We've done before. You could take a router and
A razor blade.
route it and get it down there.
I was
But
gonna say a razor blade too.
yeah, razor blade.
So
Can
you
do
can
that.
just take it along the edge of the cabinet, especially get a really sharp one.
Yeah, really sharp, brand new one.
Yeah, and just run it along the edge, and you can cut that right off. We've had to do that with cabinets before when we had too wide a T molding. So you can always do that, but I've never seen that much. Yeah, that, like you said, Tim, a quarter of an inch, like on either side, would be pretty high. An eighth of an inch, I could kind of see. So what?
Yeah, an eighth of an inch is pretty common actually. But like you said, take that razor blade and just go around, and you can trim it if it bothers you.
For sure. PWC also wrote they need themes to command high prices. An original creation would have to really be impressive for it to be feasible. That is correct.
That's true.
Jersey Jack did Dialed In, right? I was trying to think of some other original ones that we've seen. So, I mean, it's hard. I think the market is hard for original ones because the only ones who are really interested in that are pinball collectors, unless the design is just spectacular. So, let's see. Dell's Arcade says there's a guy making a real Space Cadet. True story. There you go. Joe Holt says early pins are in the tank. Nobody knows how to work on them anymore. I really want to get back into EMs. Yeah, EMs are always cheap, Tim. It seems like. So if you don't mind tracking down switches and checking for stuck switches, get you an EM.
I'm not great at it.
Yeah, you can get them for pretty cheap. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. Tim, did you see that last question there? Is that Cumulus Vapes? Says I just bought a 1983 Merit Pit Boss cocktail and thinking to do a Pandora's conversion. A DX arcade version is what I need, right, for the CRT. So some of those multi-game boards do automatically put out the 15 kilohertz if you just set them to the right, setting. And so in the case of like a Pandora, a lot of times those Pandora box boards will do 15 kilohertz. So it's just a matter of making sure you have the board set in the right mode. There's usually a dip switch on the back that controls that. And so you may just want to make sure that that's the case. And so now the DX arcade version, sometimes they do have different versions of the board. What you just really need to make sure that it has is that supports the 15 kilohertz standard CRT video output is what you want to know. So that's actually putting out video on the JAMA harness instead of out of like a VGA board. And so it may be called the DX arcade version. I don't know, but if you want to send us a link to one, we can probably help you decide or determine that. Or if you will just read in there and see if it supports 15 kilohertz, output, then you should be fine. Or if it outputs video on the JAMA harness connector, via the red, green, blue, ground sync wires, then that's what you really want. So I don't know if, like I said, they have different versions, different ones call it different things, but what you just want to make sure of is that it is putting out 15 kilohertz for the arcade monitor, and that you can connect it via the red, green, blue, ground, and sync wires on the harness. Oh, Paul Dre's here, Tim. He says hello.
Hey, Paul.
There we go. Now, Tim, I think we have one more story, and this is the one that you actually told me about.
Yeah.
And I had never heard this. This is apparently back from like 2020, Tim. So we went ahead and put it up here. But I want everybody to go and listen to the whole thing, to kind of give your opinion on it. But this is a morning radio show that does like an Awkward Tuesday phone call segment. So in this one, back in 2020, listener Becky calls her boyfriend Daniel live on air to confess a month-long secret involving a Galaga'd arcade machine. She admits to unplugging the machine, which reset his hard-earned high score that he was extremely proud of, Tim. We're talking about a Frogger-Seinfeld situation here, right? And then Becky expresses deep guilt and explains how it caused Daniel to lose a friend in frustration, creating a cringe-worthy confrontation. So Daniel had apparently been blaming his friend for this unplugging incident, right, Tim?
Yeah, he actually thought his best friend sabotaged it, being jealous of his score.
Correct. And it turned out that the wife was the one who accidentally unplugged it, losing the score. And Tim, I think you said it best when this is the best argument for high score save kits ever.
Right.
So highscoresaves.com. You guys go check out our friends there and order something from them. So this does not happen to you and you don't put your relationship in jeopardy. So you don't want your relationship to get Galaga'd. Is that a good way to say it?
Right.
So
If you guys have ever heard Brooke and Jubal in the morning, they're very popular for what's called a second date update. But this is an awkward Tuesday phone call that they do. It's very entertaining to listen to. I really didn't know where it was going, and then to find out that she had done it and had to make this phone call. What's even funnier is the ending and how they resolved, like how she makes up for it. And I don't
yes.
even know if I agree on that. And I'm like, man, that seems a little extreme, but he was very passionate about what happened. And I guess he did forgive her, but boy, did it cost her in the end.
For sure. So let's see. Dell's Arcade says she did him a favor. You should never leave your game on 24/7. Totally agree. Totally agree. Again, high score save kits, guys. That's what you need. General Strife Extra says, wait, would unplugging the cabinet keep the score? Or is that only on newer cabinets? So on older cabinets, Tim, when you turn the game off, a lot of times it does not save the high score. It does not have permanent memory. And so when you turn it off, turn it back on, a lot of times it will lose that score unless you have a high score save kit, which basically puts like a persistent memory chip on the board so you can do that. And so, yeah, like on this, on a Galaga'd, you lose the score when you reset it, right, Tim?
Right. He says that in his NFL Blitz, it would save it no matter what, but that's because that's a newer game that they already had kind of solved this issue.
Correct.
Back in the arcades, it was a big deal.
Yes.
Because every time they turn off the game, they'd lose all the scores, and then a person would come up and say, I want to see my score. That was always a big deal, right? To put your initials in. What was your initials, John? Mine was easy. TIM was easy for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm JON, so it's very easy for me too. I do not have the H in my name. I am JONATHAN, and so yeah, JON, easy enough.
So I'd ask the live chat, what were your gaming initials? They don't have, some people's gaming initials would be like SUX sucks or something. That wouldn't be their real name, but that was like their gaming initial name.
Well, I feel like the vast majority of people had ASS for some reason. I feel like I always saw that one quite a bit. But yeah, no, I'm JON. So whenever I put my initials in, it was always JON. So you'd see me up there. My actual initials are is JDL, but JON always just look better on the screen to me. So
yeah.
I know there's a lot of people who probably do Tim and John or whatever, but we have two names that kind of fit in that, in the three letter allotment. Dell's Arcade says his initials are DEL, Tim.
Yeah, no surprise there. What about you other guys? Come on.
Yeah, I want to hear some too. Well, while we're waiting on them to chime in, BJB for General Strife Extras, Tim, BJB. And while we're waiting on some more, I'll go ahead and let's wrap up this show, shall we?
Sure.
Okay, so just a reminder, guys, we want your arcade-related videos. So if you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're always looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put in a plugin for your channel so people know where to find you. And we look forward to seeing your submissions. And we haven't had any of these in a while, but we do just want to keep throwing this out there. If you've got a very smallish channel and you're not yet monetized, but you'd really like to be, and it is arcade related, then let us know. We'd be happy to feature one of your videos here and hopefully give you some free advertising. So if you have, like I said, a lot of smaller channels, maybe just on the cusp of getting monetized, and we want to help you guys get over that hump if we can. And so just send a link to your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and if we like it, we'll use it here on the live show, maybe as either a pre-show or a post-show kind of video, and that way you'll get hopefully a little bit more traffic to your channel and get maybe just over that monetization hump. That'll help you out there. So anyway, guys, just a reminder to do that. Again, if you want to submit one, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. And then, guys, we want to give you guys our contact information. We've mentioned it a lot during the show, but we do want to remind you that our general email address is questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. And if you put live show in the subject, you will get it mentioned on the show. Otherwise, we will just answer it kind of whenever we get around to it. But Tim, I do like to save questions for the live show. So if you don't hear anything back within like a month, please let me know, because more than likely we may not have gotten it. Our spam filter is super strong, so make sure that if you don't get a response back from us, email us again and let us know, because it may have gotten caught in spam or something like that. But The way to get in contact with us is definitely questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and just send your emails, your questions, whatever you may have there. It's the best way to contact us. And then, Tim, we have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Of course, all of these fine people in the live chat know that, Tim, but maybe you're listening to this on the audio podcast feed and you would like to check out the video version of this show. Then you can go to the YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com and you can look up episode 112 and find the video version. Of course, something as a reminder to our audio podcast listeners is that we do not post the after show on the audio podcast feed. So if you want to check that out, you will need to go and find the YouTube version of this show and watch it. Usually, Tim, we chapterize the video, so you can just jump right to the after show portion if you're interested in that. Of course, Tim, the after show portion should just be called Tim and Jonathan Hang Out for an Hour. But, but if you want to experience that, you're more than welcome to. You will have to check it out on YouTube to do that. And again, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com to get that. And let's talk about that audio podcast feed, Tim, which has mostly live show audio at this point, but we do have our older versions, episodes of the Interviews podcast, like the one with Jordan Dorrington that we talked about earlier in the show. We have the Question Answer podcast as well, which featured me and Tim for a while, and then Eric and friends for a while, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to listen to any of that, you can go to our Spreaker page at spreaker.arcaderepairtips.com, our Spotify page at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, or our iTunes page at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, or just search for Arcade Repair wherever fine podcasts are aggregated, Tim. You'll probably find us. But the nice thing about all three of those, Tim, is you can leave a review, and we would love for you to do that. If you've not left a review for us on one of those platforms, we would highly encourage you to do that. Tell everybody how much you love the show. We would love to hear your opinions as well. So leave a review if you get a chance this between now and the next show, and we will definitely read your review here on the air if we see it. So again, guys, Spreaker.arcaderepairtips.com, Spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, iTunes.arcaderepairtips.com, or just Arcade Repair, whatever podcast platform you use. And then we have our social media pages, which we also discussed, Tim. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and our Twitter page /X feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Still calling it Twitter, Tim. Can't get around all the way to X yet. But we do post something there every single day. So if you want to keep up with all of the recent arcade news, it's the best way to do it. Check us out on facebook.arcaderepairtips.com or at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. You can also send us questions there if you want to. But probably better to send those via email if you think about it. Again, questions@arcaderepairtips.com for those. But we also want to thank Mark for all of his contributions, Tim. He posted a lot of stuff about the Transformers pinball machine this month. We want to thank our community manager, Mark, for all of his hard work as well. So, Tim, I think that's about time to wrap it up. I'm going to go through the live show or the live chat real quick just to make sure we didn't miss anything. Let's see. Strife says, let's see. Or he says we can call him Strife instead of General Strife Extras, Tim. So there you go. Joe says, I use my actual initials, which happen to mean God. I'm certain in certain religions, Tim. That's J-A-H, like Jah.
Okay.
So there you go. So I think that was the only one we got. So we had Del was D-E-L, Strife was B-J-B, Joe was J-A-H. So there you go, Tim. People are using their actual initials. So and like I said, yeah. I've thought about that, and I've used them before, but most of the time I like John, just because it looks nice on the screen. But like I said, I sometimes I feel like people just put in whatever vulgar thing that they can get in 3 letters sometimes. So, okay, is there anything else, Tim? Did we get everything?
I think we did.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we want to thank all. Oh, go ahead.
I was just curious to the live chat. How was the audio and everything? Was everything pretty smooth tonight? We're a little bit worried. First time we'd ever done it this format.
Yeah, we had to change up some stuff from the last time that we did all of the live streaming, and so hopefully everything's worked out well. Tim, it does seem like everybody's been able to hear you just based on the comments in the live chat, so I think everything's working out pretty well. So we had one little glitch there, it seemed like, where you kind of glitched out on me, but other than that, I think we've been pretty good. So, kudos.
Great.
But Tim, is there anything you want to wrap us up with? Anything you want to say before we head out tonight?
No, just we always thank everybody for listening, and I'll try to post where I'm going if I'm anywhere near you guys. I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama this week. 2 weeks from now, actually the 13th through like the 21st, I'll be near Pensacola, Florida, Destin, all up and down the coast. There's always opportunities. I like to meet our peoples and hang out, or if y'all can recommend arcades in those areas, I hope to find something down on the beach that'll be cool. I haven't really found too much around here, but I hadn't looked real hard either.
Oh, there you go. So if you guys are going to be along the coast here in the coming weeks, Tim may be in your area. So hit us up, questions at arcaderepairtips.com. And, if you're anywhere in those areas, and maybe Tim will meet up with you. Who knows? Well, Tim, I do want to wrap it up by saying thank you to the live chat tonight. Man, it was lively. A round of applause for you guys. That was awesome. So,
Thank you, guys.
yeah, you guys are awesome tonight. We want to thank you guys for being here. We want to thank all those people who sent in questions, of course. Thank you guys for contributing to the show, and continue to send in your questions at arcaderepairtips.com. We'll be getting around to those as we do. And just thank you guys for watching. We always appreciate you guys being here. It's always a great time just hanging out. Now, we do have the after show that happens here about 5 minutes after the live show, where, like we talked about, it's just basically where me and Tim hang out. And any topic goes. So, Tim, what topics are we talking about tonight?
Well, we'll probably discuss some sporting events, maybe current events. Who knows? Maybe some TV shows and stuff we're watching.
I know at least one TV show that we're both going to talk about, and that's The Crash on Netflix, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a discussion one. I'd like to hear your take on it.
And I learned some new information just today listening to one of my other podcasts, Tim, that you may be interested in regards to that.
Okay, good.
So if you guys are interested in that too, stay tuned to the after show. If you're watching this live, then just wait about 5 minutes and we'll come back. If you're watching this after the fact, you may be able to just hit the chapter button and go over to the live show start and get it there. So it's up to you. But otherwise, if you're here live in the live chat, just stay about 5 more minutes and we'll be back for the after show. But Tim, is there anything else you want to say before we head on out?
No, thanks again, guys, for all the live interaction and stuff, and just for being here. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And we do want to remind you guys that if this is your off-ramp, just thank you for being here tonight. Again, you guys are amazing. And we look forward to seeing you next month in July. Or we'll see you here in about 5 minutes for the after show. But remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you here in 5, or we'll see you here next month for the live show in July. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
Okay, guys, we're back for the after show for episode 112. So, Tim, how'd it go for you?
I thought it was fine. I could hear you good. It was. I actually enjoyed being able to see the live chat and kind of do it here, just shooting from my phone in the hotel room. So it looked like the video quality was okay, and
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it was good
actually
enough.
watching us live in the at the same time with my pad here. So here I have my pad and watching us live and interacting, or at least reading the chat. So it was a little different for me, but I thought it was fine. I'm glad we didn't put it off a week and we were able to get it done tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like I said, even in a week, I don't know if you could have been here because it sounds like your travel schedule is pretty brutal right now.
It is really, and then the time I am home, I've got stuff to do, so much to do. We've had all kinds of air conditioning stuff going on.
Oh, I'm sorry. We had to replace like a lot of our unit, earlier this year. That always stinks.
Yeah, it seems like it's been one thing after another. Finding an honest, I just don't hardly know what to believe anymore. If somebody says it needs this, another person says it needs that. Why'd they do it this way? Why'd they put that part on there? It's like I don't know what to believe. We
Yeah.
had a great guy, and he pretty much has ghosted us, and he's just too busy doing more commercial stuff now.
Yeah, it's hard.
Uh,
Like even my buddy that does ours, like he doesn't. I think he makes most of his money doing new units for new build
yeah,
construction, and it's hard to find people who are actually going to do repair stuff.
that's exactly the problem that we're having. So.
Yeah, for sure. I understand. So, Tim, we got a lot to talk about here in the after show, of course. And we just want to remind you guys, if you're watching in the live chat, you can chime in on anything we're talking about. This is not necessarily arcade related, but we will talk about some of that stuff sometimes. It's more about just me and Tim hanging out and catching up because I haven't seen Tim like in a month. So,
Yeah.
the biggest thing, though, is that we've got some different things that are going on. Tim, I do want to find, like, how was your May? So, how did your May go?
Oh, well, it came and went like a hurricane. I don't know. It was just gone. It was good. I took trips, went to Arkansas again. I always loved to be up there in the northwest portion of Arkansas, and probably will be headed that direction. I'm looking in July or August, I'm sure. Not quite sure after this, but this is usually I go somewhere about every 6 weeks, and this is 3 times in 6 weeks, so every other week for three trips, which is a
Goodness.
lot for me.
Yeah, I
But
mean, that's not being home, basically. So,
it's not, and it's the time of the year when our granddaughter is over, and we got our little splash pad set up out there, and I'm really enjoying and looking forward to being home and doing some things, and also maybe some stuff that we want to do. Go on a little day trip or maybe a weekend getaway or something.
yeah, for sure.
Y'all have vacation this year, or what?
Well, we already did our vacation. Remember in January we went to Disney
Oh,
World.
that's
So I
right.
mean, yeah. So we're
Pretty
we're
busy,
not.
huh?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not planning on going much anywhere. My wife and my daughter have church camp coming up, so they're going to be going to that. So me and my son are just going to kind of hang out here, just the two of us. He's got art camp too while they're gone, so he'll be at art camp. I'll be working still. But we have some fun stuff planned. Just nothing like no big trips for sure. Just because we did Disney World, and then me and my wife got away for like a kind of a long, well, like a 5-day little getaway to Oklahoma, for our 20th anniversary, which is actually in
Nice.
July. But so we did that in May, which was nice. We got away for that, and just kind of left the kids at home, and we just went out to Broken Bow and hung out in the cabin for a while, and it was nice and relaxing. So.
Well, it's interesting. Joe says in the live chat that he's Mr. HVAC. So don't tell me that, Joe. I may have some questions for you. Well, I don't mind, and it's not a money issue. It's more of a honesty issue. I had one guy fix it and say he put in a new coil, and then the other guy said, well, there wasn't any Freon in it. So, I'm being charged for I don't the last one was a checkup that should have costed about $200 that ended up costing us $950.
Yeah.
And claiming that it's because he had to go back and fix what another guy didn't do. So I honestly don't know who to believe anymore.
Well, I mean, so my buddy replaced our outside unit and our internal coil on the inside unit. And Tim, it was about 5 times what you just said.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we spent. The new coil, the next guy actually couldn't believe the first guy did it for that price, but it was kind of like, wow. But it's just a constant battle. We have 2 units
We do too.
at our, and so it's like when one's running fine and the other one's giving issues. But I don't know. We're just, in Texas, we got to have our air conditioner, and I'm thinking about just putting a window unit in and calling it done.
You can. I mean, that's a good way. If you've only got a small area that you need to cool, it works pretty well. So.
Yeah, Joe gives good advice. Never buy the warranty. I believe that's right.
Yeah, I don't do that. Yeah, I mean, because I feel like my buddy who's the HVAC guy, he says dealing with them is a headache.
Yeah, it is.
He's like, they never pay what they want, what they're supposed to pay, and he always has to fight with them. And he's like, I just don't even do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him. So, okay. Any investment talk, Tim? Now, I will say that my 401k is looking really good right now. Can I say that?
Yeah, I think if this war with Iran would end, I think we would really see some growth right now. But we talked about this earlier in the year. You remember I bought home heating oil, sold it during the winter.
Yeah.
Well, during the winter, I was buying commodities like corn and stuff, and guess what? It's due now. So that strategy, buying commodities in the winter, selling in the summer, buying home heating oil, which I'm just going to get ready to buy some more for next year, and selling. I mean, it's a safe bet, and it's been a good. I wouldn't say I make it a killing, but if you can make 25% profit, every year, that's 4 years. You're doubling your money, and it's almost a given. So I get a little more brave every year, investing more, because I know that it's going to work. It stinks in the short term because you see your stuff, your portfolio kind of go down, but it ends up working. It has ended up working pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart approach. The things that have been going on for me is I bought Nvidia back when it was 107 when it dropped that day,
I do too.
and I still have that. And have you
I
seen the
do.
price recently?
I have not noticed. I haven't even touched it.
I think it's 184.
I only have about 5 shares, but
Yeah, but I mean, still. No, it's what is it? 216.
wow.
So I've
That's
almost,
probably
I've
my
almost
overall
doubled.
list, you know.
So actually, I have doubled. So, and that just goes to show you, Nvidia has just been with the AI stuff. They're just gangbusters, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dave and Buster's has been sucking it up. So Dave and Buster's needs to fix all this pretty quick. They've really, Tim, it's just I think the pandemic really hurt them, and I just don't know if they can recover from that. They took on a lot of debt, I think, during that time, and it's coming back to bite them. I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is in the same position, right? We talked about this.
That's right.
And so it's really hard to come back from that. Tim, do you think that I understand that a lot of these restaurants and places have technically recovered and are still around and are making good money, but the problem is they're having to make up for basically like 2 to 3 years of lost sales. Do you think that they'll be able to do that?
The whole business model is changing so much. Like we talked about earlier, there's not a lot of places you go and sit down. Your fast food places are booming, but it's all drive-through sales.
Yeah.
And they like it because they can run less labor and still create more revenue with the drive-through. And everybody wants it quick, I don't know. Everybody's competing for. We still go out and eat occasionally, but boy, it has slowed down. It makes you really think. Whereas I could go to the store, used to, I would go eat because by the time you bought the ingredients, it costs as much as going out. Now that's doubled almost on the going out. So now I actually can save some money and maybe get 2 or 3 meals out of it. So, we're thinking along those lines sometimes. I mean, sometimes what we do now, Jonathan, on kind of a date night, we'll just go and get, say, a couple of drinks and chips and salsa.
Yeah.
Or just get dessert, because we never get dessert, right? We always get something else. Or, I've been trying to drink more water. You'd be surprised just ordering water, how much you could save going out.
Yeah,
I don't
soda. I mean,
know.
sodas are a big profit center for them. We know that.
I look forward to Dave and Buster's, the one they're building in Tyler, but man, they need to come on with it already. It's really dragging out. I'm afraid if they don't hurry up and build it, I would probably frequent there and stuff. But again, that's the way I would do it. I would go on nights when I can get double play points or good specials, things like that. That's what people are looking for.
For sure. Now, when I go out to eat, Tim, my trick is to go during lunch because a lot of times they have lunch menus.
Yeah.
So it
Oh,
gets it
yeah.
a little bit cheaper for you, right?
Exactly. So, or get the lunch portion sometimes,
Yeah.
even if you're eating late.
Yeah. So, like, if I'm like, hey, let's meet up for lunch, is a lot of times what I'll tell my friend when we're going out to eat. A lot of times I won't meet up for dinner. And that saves us both a little bit. It's a little bit cheaper to go get something off the lunch menu and everything. And I still get that out to eat experience. So I think that's a trick. And like you said, ordering water is a trick and all that kind of stuff. But it's just the fact that it's gotten just overly, it's gotten pretty much to the point of being just not, what is a good term for it? Almost not being able to go out to eat with like a family of four to a dinner night, like we used to do all the time.
Right.
So,
But in our situation, we look forward to just dinner at home sometimes too. We don't, if we're busy or we're just grabbing food here and there, sometimes it's nice just to sit down and have a meal. Or we're still doing a lot of those Netflix games and things where we'll play each other and almost nightly. It's like, you want to play? Yeah, let's play. So it's good and bad. So we're kind of enjoying being at home a lot more.
yeah, I think that goes for everybody. Maybe I mean I don't know if we're having a little bit of a pullback because I mean I think all of us were so sick of being at home after COVID that we kind of went out and did a whole bunch of stuff, and now maybe we're getting a little bit of pullback from that. So
Yeah, maybe so.
okay, sounds good. Let's go to some sports talk, Tim. So Major League Baseball wise, almost the entire American League sucks. So except for maybe the Yankees and the Rays, but the Rangers are currently at 30-31, which is right around that 500 mark, Tim. And I feel like if we can hang out there and make our move like in August, then maybe we can sneak into the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. But Tim, any baseball thoughts? Have you been watching any?
Just a few little bit of the Rangers. Here where I'm at, a lot of Braves fans, and so I see a lot of Braves. I wouldn't thought in Alabama, but I guess I'm not too far from Georgia, and Atlanta and stuff. So, but it seems like the Braves are the team here.
I could see that. I mean, the Braves are a team in a lot of places. But let me ask you this: have you been keeping up with the College World Series, specifically the women's?
What team I was rooting for, the current defending champs got beat, and that was pretty surprising, pretty soundly beat. And but I was watching some Texas game the other night at a diner here, and I didn't get to see the end of it, and don't know if they won or not.
Well, there's just been so many like stories about it. Like Texas Tech spent a ton of money in the NIL to bring all these players together. I think they got the most expensive payroll in girls softball, Tim. And
Yeah,
just to see, and then to see like there's been a lot of drama and things. It's been very interesting if you're not keeping up with it.
I'll be honest that out of all women's sports, if you said you got to watch this, and basketball is probably my first, and I do like track, but I like to watch women's softball. It's really, it's some good. They're really good, and
Yeah, for
and
sure.
even
So
I mean, there are some dominant teams, but there's a lot of good teams
yeah,
on any given day. They can, and I like. There's good big power hitters too.
for
I would
sure, for
love it
sure.
if Polly played softball. I think that would be fun to watch her play.
Yeah, for sure. It is. It is fun to watch your kids play sports. I like that too. But it can be heartbreaking too when they don't get
Mhm.
whatever it is. But I think there's a lot of good lessons that can be learned from that when your kids play for sure. But the College World Series on the for the women's has been just crazy. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up some of the stories and things that have been happening, and you'll find a lot of the different drama and things that have been going on. Tim, let's transition to the NBA. Speaking of basketball, Spurs Knicks. Who do you got?
I I guess from Texas, uh, we have to kind of root for San Antonio. I mean, I do like San Antonio, okay, but man, there's a part of me that really likes this Knicks team for some reason. I don't know why. I've never been a New York fan. They were the bad boys. I guess it's just been so long that they haven't had a really good team and they haven't been to the finals. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if they win. Yeah, I'll say that much. I'm kind of rooting for the Spurs, but as the game goes on, I like this Knicks team. I like how they play together.
Yeah, so if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, you have fond memories of Jalen Brunson.
For sure.
And so, Jalen Brunson, of course, on the Knicks. And so there are a lot of people from the Mavericks that used to be at the Mavericks that are associated with the Knicks now. And so I could see going either way. But Wimby, Tim, that guy is amazing.
Yes.
And if you want to talk about who's the best player in this finals, I would say him.
Me too. I agree.
So if you're going by like the team with the best player is going to win, I think you'd have to go San Antonio.
Maybe so.
That'd be my thought. So, I mean, I don't know.
I would definitely call it an upset if New York wins.
Yeah, I mean, they're up one after last night.
But they just got a lot of heart, and they really want it. I like to see teams that are just, look like they're just not playing. They're playing all out. Hustling, playing good as good teammates. And good passing and all the alley oops and stuff. I'm like, man, they just seem like they're peaking at the right time.
For sure. Well, it's going to be an interesting series. Hopefully you guys were watching it. Let us know your thoughts if you want to on that. If you chime in with who you think is going to win, if you're interested in that, let us know. We'd love to hear it. Tim, there's another finals going on too that less people probably know about, and that is the NHL finals. We got the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Carolina Hurricanes, Tim, and it looks like the Las Vegas Golden Knights are in control of this thing.
I think so.
And I think earlier Joe said, going to be in and out watching the Carolina Hurricanes choke on the Stanley Cup. That's about right, unfortunately. But, I mean, I would like to see Carolina win it, Tim. The Vegas Golden Knights have a very stacked team. So I would call Carolina definitely the underdog in this one. I mean, but I don't know. Vegas is good. So, I mean, I think if I'm making a prediction, I'm going to say they're probably going to win it. So
I wouldn't bet against them.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, the UFL season is wrapping up. The playoffs are here, but the Renegades didn't make the playoffs. They went 4-6. Tim, I didn't really watch many games this year. Haven't been keeping up with it.
I guess watched a single game.
Yeah, since Bob Stoops. I watched a couple of little plays here and there, but I didn't see a whole game for sure. But since Bob Stoops left, I'm kind of less interested in it overall. But I still think spring football is an interesting concept, though. I don't know if it'll ever get the attention that they want it to, though. So I'm wondering how long the UFL is going to be around. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I forget about it. I don't even remember that it's on. I saw it on the other night, and it was on a news channel or something. I was like, what's going on? And and I watched about 5 minutes. And I guess the biggest thing was the coach that got hit, Terry Bowden. I saw some videos on that, and other than that, I wouldn't even know that they were playing right now.
Yeah, there you go. So I'll catch it if I'm flipping channels or something like that. But I mean, that's about it. It just, I don't know. It's not the same as what it was. When it was the XFL, I was still interested. I think ever since the UFL changeover, I'm just not as interested anymore. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, let's talk some movie and TV shows. You want to go first?
Sure. Well, it doesn't matter. Go ahead. I've been traveling and watching YouTube videos and stuff more than anything.
What YouTube videos do you watch, Tim?
Well, I get on these kicks where I've been watching, I've been studying some near-death experience stuff. And I just think that, it's weird that a lot of people don't see the same thing. So that makes you wonder. But then some of it is, people have some really neat stories and thinking about some of that stuff. I don't know. I guess I've been on some long drives and sometimes I just listen to those. That I don't know why, it just kind of piqued my interest lately. And I don't definitely want to have one. I'm not in the market just hoping that I have one. But some of the people and how it changes their lives, that's some of the stuff that I've been watching. And then I'm really thinking, I like interesting people, and some of the podcasts and stuff I've been listening to, interviews and different things. Nothing, just random stuff. Reels on Facebook and stuff, um, just something quick in between stops or something, get a laugh in. I'm
So
trying to think.
me and the kids, I was gonna say YouTube wise, me and the kids like the theme park videos. So I love Defunct Land here on YouTube. That's an amazing like channel. If you haven't seen that, he does like a deep dive into like old like retired theme park rides and stuff like that.
Oh,
They're
see, I
super
was like that.
fascinating. He's a great narrator. If you haven't watched Defunct Land and his videos, you should. And then we like TPM vids. We watch all of like the breakdown videos and when people get evacuated from rides and stuff like that. We love to see that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
big shout out to Defunct Land and TPM vids, two of mine and the kids' favorite YouTube channels here on YouTube. Two that we absolutely love. So check those
I
out.
like Matthew Parker. You ever watched his repair videos where he finds people broken down on the side of the road and fixes their cars?
No, I haven't
And
seen those.
oh my gosh, and it started off kind of small, and now he's so big that he's making enough money where he doesn't even charge people. He'll just go and look for broken down cars, and sometimes he'll raise money and get them a brand new car or something like that. He's kind of that guy.
That's
But
awesome.
I like to watch him. He's a mobile mechanic. And
Okay.
so if you ever get to watch Matthew Parker Mobile Mechanic, I think I don't know why, it interests me how he can fix stuff, and he can diagnose quick. He'll be like, oh, and newer cars and stuff that are really hard to work on, he just takes them all apart and fixes them right there. Oh, you need a new radiator. And he just flips it. I know it's edited and stuff. I'm like, there's no way he could do that quick, but uh, I find those videos, I'll watch them one after another. I just think it's cool. I like videos where they help people like that, people that aren't just making it and buying big houses. They're making enough money though to where they're really giving back. And some of those will they'll act like they're homeless or something, and somebody helps them, and they're like, "I'm not really homeless. I don't need this money. I'm going to help you though," or something.
Oh, and I was gonna say, my son loves Mark Rober.
Yeah.
We're big Mark Rober fans, so
Oh, okay.
we've seen like probably all of his videos. Goodness, so another great
But here's
YouTuber.
how I watch more of that stuff than shows now. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I just do. It interests me more, I guess, than most shows. I did go see one movie. You remember I told you that I went and saw that movie Obsession.
So
And
I've seen the previews for this. I have heard people's reviews of it. It seems like it's very good, and it's been earning way more than what it cost to make. So Tim,
yeah, it made like
they're very up on this
17,000
movie.
to make
So
or
tell us
something.
your thoughts. Give us a little synopsis, not any spoilers or anything, and then tell us what you thought.
Okay, so to preface, my son has been dying to see it, and we were going up there for Memorial Day weekend, and we wanted to see him, and he said, "Would y'all go to the movies and see this with me?" So I went in with zero, didn't know nothing. He goes, "Man, you got to see this movie. It's crazy." So I knew all I
So
knew,
technically, it's a horror movie, right?
kind of, but not like a typical horror movie, not a slash on, but it definitely has some jump scenes, things like that. Basic premise, and this is not giving anything away. A guy likes this girl, and he finds this little toy thing that it says make a wish and it'll happen, and he wishes that she would love him, and instead of loving him she's like super obsessed, and where, and so that's how it, and she turns just this, at first it's nice, yeah, she likes him and he's always liked her and stuff like that, and then she becomes obsessed with him. So it's kind of like the old 80s old car where you go and get a fortune or something, and then you want it back, change it back, and how can I reverse it kind of deal. And I mean, it definitely has some a few gory scenes. I would say that much, probably more than I like to watch. But it fits the movie. It's some twists and turns in it. probably, I can't see the live chat anymore, but if anybody's seen it, I could see why people, especially my younger people, like my son, really liked it. I walked out of the movie kind of scratching my head. What did I just watch? And he was like, oh my gosh, it was awesome. And I'm not saying I didn't like it. And it probably would be better at the movies than to go wait at home, but it's definitely for adults. You and me both, we end up watching more kids movies just because we're around kids a lot. So, but definitely was different. I'll just say that.
Okay, well, I will try to hit it up when it hits like on demand or something like that because I am interested in it. I saw the preview and it did get me curious. So I am. So you would recommend watch this, right?
And you said horror. I would not call it horror as much as creepy,
Okay.
kind of eerie,
Thriller-ish.
yeah. But there's some jump scare scenes, and there is a scene that I would just say, I wish I'd never seen that scene. Now I can't unsee it. It's like I'll
Okay.
just say the car scene. If anybody, I don't have the live chat pulled up. If anybody has it and they've seen the car scene, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Now, right now, the live chat's pretty quiet, Tim. So I think everybody.
Kind of
I don't know if anybody else has seen this. So
they're watching the game, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
But the car scene, so it's got a little gore to it, definitely. But it's not like all throughout the movie. It's like a story too. So, I mean, it fits the movie. You know what I mean? It's not like it's all that way. There's a theme and a story, and it's kind of funny, because once he figures out that he's trying to break this spell kind of deal, and the lengths he's willing to go to in order to do that. I mean, everybody wants somebody to love them, but if their love means worshiping you 24/7 and crazy, then it would be difficult. So, but definitely to watch the previews. I think it would be a decent movie to check out, but a little bit on the gore side.
Okay, well, I think that's a good recommendation. I do want to check it out. I'll wait probably until it hits on demand. I don't know if I want to go to the movie theater to go see it right now, but I am curious, so I'll definitely check it out. I'll talk about what I saw. I went to the movies to see Mandalorian and Grogu.
Okay.
And so I think I mentioned previously that me and the kids were going back through all the seasons. So we watched the entire series, and we kind of did that for nothing because the movie has nothing to do with any of the series, really. You can enjoy the movie without having ever seen the series, and I'm sure they did that on purpose so that people who had never seen the TV show would be interested in it. So even if you've never watched a minute of the Mandalorian TV show, you can still enjoy the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And Tim, it was pretty good. I would not call it like the best movie I've ever seen, but I did not look down at my watch once. It was very action-packed the entire time. There's only one slow part, but you kind of get why it's slow, if that makes sense. So I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a slow part in there, and you kind of understand why that part is slow. So that's the only part of it that's slow, though, and the rest of it is boom, 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 boom. It's hitting you with a lot of action, just a lot of stuff all at once. And look, if you're comparing this to other Star Wars movies, yes, it's not as good as some of the mainline story movies, or Star Wars movies, but as a self-contained unit, pretty decent movie, and definitely very action-packed. So if you're at all interested in The Mandalorian and the character itself, even if you've never seen the TV show, I would say you need to check it out. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
There you go. So so if you go with your wife and she's never even seen The Mandalorian, guess what? She'll enjoy it too. So
okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So then I went and saw Mortal Kombat 2, which is the new movie, and it's good. I think I can only recommend it to people who really like Carl Urban like I do, or people who just really like Mortal Kombat, which means that all the people in our audience are probably pretty good, are probably the target audience for this, if that makes sense. So if you have a history of Mortal Kombat, you know the games, and all that kind of stuff, I think you'll really enjoy it. I don't think it works for people who aren't already interested in the series. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, so like if you've never heard of Mortal Kombat, I don't know if you're going to really like this. If you've at least heard of Mortal Kombat or played the game at least one point in your life, you will probably get what's happening and will enjoy it. So the fight sequences are good as you expect. So, I mean, those are really well done. The action sequences are amazing. Everything's done well like that. Story is a bit weak. I mean, come on, it's an arcade game. It's Mortal Kombat, right? You know what the story is. But but the action more than makes up for it. Overall, I'm going to say thumbs in the middle unless you are just a diehard, unless you're just a person who knows Mortal Kombat pretty well. And in that case, you need to go see it. So if you're the kind of person who still plays Mortal Kombat 2 every so often, this movie's for you guys. So does that make sense? Good?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. Other things I watched The Boys. They had the series finale. It was really good. So if you haven't experienced all that, warning up front, The Boys is like uber like violent and adult and all that kind of stuff. So, just make sure you're not watching this stuff with your kids around. Got lots of language and stuff in it. But Tim, I enjoyed the entire ride of The Boys. So like all 4 seasons, fantastic. I enjoyed all of it. So if you're interested in like superheroes and kind of this alternate superhero world where superheroes are bad to a certain extent, The Boys is definitely up your alley. And if you haven't seen it before, check out like the first couple episodes at least and see what you think. And if you like those, you'll like the rest of the series.
Okay.
And I watched The Punisher One Last Kill, which is like a 1 hour long special that they did, Tim. And man, I can't think of the actor who does the Punisher character. Maybe somebody in the live chat can help me. You know him, you've seen him. He's you know who I'm talking about. And I know his name. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. He is fantastic. Goodness, he's good. And this is really good. Like this 1 hour thing packs a lot in there. You can tell he's dealing with some PTSD from like his military days and from losing his family. And I think that makes it real. That kind of grounds it in reality. But basically there was this like mob family that killed his family and he left one of them alive and it's like the mother he left alive. And now the mother is sending everybody she can, basically hiring every assassin she can, putting a huge bounty on the Punisher's head to take him out. And that's the whole concept.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's violent and it's adult, but great action, great sequence for what it's very tight 1 hour that you're going to see. It's on Disney Plus, and it's definitely worth your time if you're at all a fan of the character, the Punisher, or if you've seen Daredevil and any of the Defender stuff, you'll like it a lot. And then, Tim, I say this one for last because this was the surprise, I would say. This is Margot's Got Money Troubles on Apple TV. Have you heard of this?
No, I've never heard of it.
And most people haven't, I've found. I heard about it through one of my podcasts, and the guy was like, hey, you need to watch this. It's really good. So the whole concept is that you have this young girl who gets pregnant by her professor and decides to keep the baby, which commendable, right?
Sure.
So, and the professor really wants nothing to do with the baby, so she's flat broke, and so she decides to do OnlyFans, right?
Okay.
Okay. And her mom is like in the process of marrying a pastor.
Okay.
And her dad is an ex-pro wrestler.
Okay.
And so that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil anything.
That sounds like pretty interesting already.
Yeah, so I mean that's all I want to tell you. And it's a very interesting ride, I will say that. It does a little bit to make you feel better about OnlyFans people, I think, like in general, like maybe it's trying to do that. It's based on a book. My thing with OnlyFans is like if people didn't go to OnlyFans, there wouldn't be OnlyFans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so
we weren't fans.
Right. So that's kind of my thing with it. But it kind of shows her as a person and how she's struggling, and she tries to work normal jobs, but she can't earn enough money to take care of her and her newly born son, and she struggles. And so so it is I mean, they don't show much in it as far as like it is adult. There is an adult themes to it, and they do show some, but they don't show it's not gratuitous for sure, you know what I'm saying? And most of what she does is not nudity, if that makes sense. So it's more about promotion. So if what I just said interests you, you should watch it. But it was way better than what I thought. It's got Michelle Pfeiffer in it. It's got golly, why can't I remember Tom Cruise's ex-wife?
Nicole Kidman?
Nicole Kidman's in it. She's actually an executive producer on it. It's got oh golly, I can't even remember. The ex-wrestler guy is an actor you would know from Parks and Rec. What is that guy's name?
Oh, I can't think.
Yeah.
What platform is it on?
Apple TV.
Okay.
So if you want to do like a month and watch that, or you can wait till August, get your Ted Lasso fix, and then watch Margot's Got Money Trouble too.
Okay.
So that's what I would probably do if you don't already have it. So, but it was better than what I thought. It's got a lot. Oh, Greg Kinnear's in it too. He plays the pastor, Tim.
Oh, okay.
So it's got a lot of actors you're going to recognize in it, which is very interesting. But it was really well done. And like I said, I mean, it's just an interesting story. I mean, and like I said, they don't really show much. It's not gratuitous with like that stuff. It's more, it doesn't. There's not many scenes of that at all. It's more about what she's going through as a mom and with money, and then her mom getting married to the pastor, and her dad struggling as a ex pro wrestler with drug issues and stuff like this. So a lot of moving parts in it. Let's just spell it out.
I don't watch right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think you'd find it interesting. Deirdre stopped watching it because she thought it was too distressing at one point, but she was interested in what happened, so I kind of gave her the synopsis I just gave everybody here. So,
okay.
But anyway, Tim, let's move to our last thing that we teased at the end of the actual live show, and that is the crash. So we have both seen this, and why don't you tell us, or let me do the summary of this. So a 17-year-old girl crashes a car into a building with her boyfriend and a friend of her boyfriend in the car. Her boyfriend and friend of the boyfriend die, and somehow she gets convicted for murder.
Right.
For their murder. Okay? So I don't want to tell you about all the details, but the prosecution is able to build a huge case against her that basically convinces everyone that she did this on purpose. I don't want to spoil any of that, Tim, but you would agree with that, right?
Yes. That's a good synopsis.
So she is in jail right now. She has been convicted of murder for these two. Tim, what did you think about the crash, about this young girl's plight and what happened and all this kind of stuff?
Well, it's one of those that can leave you really on the fence. One minute you're watching it, you're leaning this way, and the next minute you're watching it, you're leaning this way. 1 minute she's guilty, well, maybe not. Well, no, she's not guilty. Well, hold up, So that's what I liked about it. It's me and my wife watched it together, and we were definitely, both of us. It's one of those you're going to discuss afterwards, right?
Yes.
So it was kind of fun to watch, to really think about all the circumstances that led up to that time and what happened. If she's innocent, and I say if because we really don't exactly know yet, I feel really sorry for her. Imagine going through something that horrific and then being in jail for it. But if she's guilty, then I don't feel sorry at all for her. So it's like I guess there's one part that bothers me, John, and we'll say this without spoiling much, and I don't know who's still listening at this point anyway. The one part that gets me is the one friend that testified against her that said she made some threats to do that.
Yes.
A week or two before, right? That to me was the one that has me swinging that direction. You said there was an update even today, though?
Well, I was listening to a podcast, and they kind of gave us some additional information since she's been in jail. So I can spoil this part because I feel like this is not the important part. She gets convicted, and they give her 2 non-consecutive 15 life sentences, which means she can be out in 2037 if she can gain parole then, okay?
Right.
So she did get convicted, okay? Now, when you hear the story, you think it's pretty impossible how she could get convicted, right? To me. Like, if I just told you that, like the setup that we just told you, it's pretty impossible for her to get convicted. But that's why you watch it, so you see the evidence against her, is what I would say. This is why you need to watch it. So the information I got from another podcast was that since she's been in jail, she has not been following all of the rules and regulations. She has modified her prison attire against the rules. She has been doing influencer stuff while she's been in jail in her orange jumpsuit, and even posting some stuff, some inappropriate pictures as well from her cell. And basically has not been following any protocols, and blaming her parents a lot for not teaching her the consequences of her actions.
Okay.
So how does that make you feel knowing that information, Tim?
If you told me that I had to make a decision, I would think she's guilty.
Yeah.
But Boy, I'm not 100% though. I'll admit. I just, there's some. It just seems really far fetched why anybody would do that. 90 miles an hour, and to tell the audience here, they don't really show anything gory like bloody bodies and stuff, but they do show the car,
Yes.
and it is a horrific crash.
100 miles per hour into a brick wall, Tim. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, in town, she's going 100 miles an hour. So that is crazy. And you see the video of it. They have a video of it. And it's just bizarre, bizarre, bizarre. It definitely is a one that makes you think, and trying to get into that person's head. And it's just she's a strange bird. Okay.
Well, and here's one thing I will definitely say is her parents basically let her do whatever she wanted.
They did.
And they take up for her like she's super innocent. But look, she's 17. They're letting her live with her boyfriend. They're making up all these excuses for why she's innocent. They are enabling her and have been probably enabling her this whole time. We know that she had been using marijuana, right? Pot?
Yeah.
And that she had also been she'd been using something else too, mushrooms, right?
Right.
And so like obviously like to be 17 and using this stuff means that your parents don't care basically and do not want to discipline.
And they knew she did it.
Yeah. So it's like
I felt sorry for the guy in the back seat.
Me too, yes.
The
boyfriend's friend.
Right. Her friend.
Yes. They were all friends technically. But she didn't know him as well as he did, apparently.
Right. But he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, I think.
For sure. So
I felt sorry for his parents.
But you should go watch The Crash on Netflix, and we'd love to hear in the next after show whether you think she's innocent or guilty based on the evidence. Obviously, they found her guilty, but maybe you don't. But the biggest thing, Tim, I think one of the mistakes they did make, too, is they did ask for a trial by judge instead of a trial by jury, which was a big mistake, I feel like.
Interesting that they would do that.
Yeah, because I think a jury would have found her more innocent.
I think she would have had a better chance with a jury for sure.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a very weird request to do it that way instead of having the jury. So, but Tim, they have a lot of evidence against her, to be honest with you. And the way she's behaving in jail, like if I wanted to get out in 15 years, I think I'd be on my best behavior.
I think so. It's not going to help her.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think she's just going to be in jail if that's the case. And maybe that's where she needs to be. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So anyway, let's see. Hugh Solomon is here. He says, "Hey guys, glad I caught y'all." You did. You just caught us, but we're about to go. So you did get here right on time. Unfortunately, we're about to leave. So, you can rewind and see all the great stuff. But thanks for chiming in right here at the end before we head out. We've done an entire show at this point. So, Tim, you want to recap everything for Hugh Slalom here before we go?
We talked about. Oh gosh, what all did we do?
We answered some questions. We talked about Pizza Hut a lot.
And then we did the after show, but the news articles seemed to really get the live chat going this time. We had a little more interaction, so maybe check out the news articles this time. I think that really was some good discussion when those came up.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, hopefully I'm going to get to check out a Pizza Hut Classic sometime with the kids. Looking forward to that. Well, Tim, I think we're going to call it a night. Want to thank all you guys for hanging on during the after show here. Tim, I think we've lost most of the audience, which is fine. I understand. Yeah. But this is just me, Tim, hanging out. So we're glad you guys can hang out with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you. Tim, I think it's July 2nd, correct?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So July 2nd at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully me and Tim will be in the same room next time. Not that I mind you being here virtually, Tim. It's just I enjoy having you next to me on the left here.
Yeah, it's a little different this way, but at least it worked out this time.
And Tim will be on the 2nd. We'll be 2 days away from celebrating our 250th anniversary of America, right?
Right. It'll be a big party.
Absolutely. Okay, well, all you guys have a good night. Take care. Thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you in July. And, if you have anything in the meantime, of course, reach us out. Email questions@arcaderepairtips.com, all that good stuff. So we'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.